Live presentation of CBC Sports. Don't be afraid. Come right in to the Argo House of Horrors on All Hallows Eve. Come see a quarterback who slices and dices defenses. Kent Austin can strike fear into the heart of CFL secondaries. He directs a flying circus that's producing numbers that are downright scary. His offense has some of the best hands in the league. Don Narcisse, a 107-game reception streak. Ray Elgard, a new CFL record. Jeff Fairholm, Elgard's heir apparent. You run for your life when you come face-to-face with the Rider front seven. Try as you may, there's often no escaping Gerald Bayless. And when Ray Bernard and Bobby Jurison come to play, things go bump in the night. Even the suspenseful Alfred Hitchcock would be hard-pressed to come up with a more frightening script than the one the Argos have offered this season. Nightmare on Front Street. More chills than thrills as heads rolled in the front office. Who gets the call today in the Argo House of Horrors? Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde? Reggie Slack or Tracy Ham? Perish the thought the Argos, with 3 wins and 13 losses, are still in the hunt for a playoff spot in the East.
Ooh, kids, we got a scary movie for you this week, believe me. It's really scary.
The CFL on CBC. Today, from Sky Dome in Toronto, the Saskatchewan Roughriders against the Toronto Argonauts.
And welcome to our Halloween masquerade in Toronto. And if all of that isn't scary enough, here's a frightening thought. For the 3rd week in a row, the leaky Argo defense is facing another CFL top gun. 2 weeks ago, it was Doug Flutie routing the Argos. 1 week later, David Archer picked their secondary apart. And now here comes Kent Austin, fresh from combining with Flutie for a CFL record of more than 1,000 yards passing just 1 week ago. The Argos, though, are making changes on defense, 4 of them, as a matter of fact, including Enos Jackson back in the secondary for the first time since week 3 of this season. Well, the battle for the 3rd and final playoff spot in the East is looking more like a war of attrition. Last night, Ottawa losing its 14th game of the year, meaning the Riders and Argos are still deadlocked with 3 wins apiece. Toronto can make a move today with a win. That is the playoff scenario in the East. For their thoughts on this game, let's go to the broadcast booth now and welcome Chris Cuthbert and James Curry.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everybody. Why is James Curry smiling? Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders boast one of the premier quarterbacks in the CFL and the all-time leading receiver in Ray Elgard yardage-wise, but the Riders' outstanding players, a member of your fraternity.
Well, it's great to see a defensive lineman get the accolades that Gerald Bayless has received this year from the media and plus his teammates. This guy has been the most dominating defensive player in the CFL at some time, a guy who plays with his hands in the dirt. He's a blue-collar player.
Gerald Bayless having an outstanding year. He has stopped running backs in the backfield 17 times for losses this year, as well as 9 sacks. So what do you make of the Argos? This playoff race, best described as scary on Halloween. They have to win at least one for a chance. Saskatchewan this week or Winnipeg next.
A desperate team at the moment. A lot of uncertainty at the quarterback position. They really haven't had an established leader. A lot of changes have been made defensively. Their linebackers have not been able to get back into coverage and give the secondary the help that they need throughout the season. And they've had too many changes defensively to have some cohesiveness.
Well, they have to win, and it could come today where the Riders have not won since '89. Mark?
Well, Chris, we're all set for Halloween. The jack-o'-lanterns are carved. The question now, who gets tricked and who gets the treat? The Argos and Roughriders come knocking when we come back.
It's the final regular season game for Saskatchewan, final home game for Toronto, and although 7 wins separate these two teams, both clubs need one more victory for a shot at 3rd place in their respective division. Don Matthews feeling a whole lot better after the emergency appendectomy a few weeks back, and of course feeling better after his team beat Calgary last week. Bob Obilovich calls this game a measuring stick for the future of his football team, and they got another stay of execution last night as the Ottawa Roughriders were beaten at Frank Clair Stadium by Winnipeg. We're underway as Dave Ridgway kicks it downfield. And it's Bobby Gordon from his 20-yard line with the seam across the 30. And Gordon could go a ways across midfield. And Albert Brown pushes him out of bounds. But James Curry, the Argos, need all the positives they can get, and they get a good one to start the game.
Well, a big play early by the Argos. Gordon getting a good play, getting a return on the opening kickoff to give Reggie Slack good field position to start his opening drive. They have struggled. They have not been able to move the football down the field consistently. Hopefully this will be a good start for Slack.
Sixth start for Reggie Slack this year, and Saskatchewan 46. Slack drops back, looks deep, Hazard open, and he'll score! Touchdown! What a start for the Argonauts!
Manny Hazard looking for a big day, trying to go over the 1,000-yard mark. Came into the game with 9:22. A start sorely needed by the Argos. Reggie Slack sending Hazard down the seam, wide open, untouchable. Slack is out in the left flat. Slack rolls a half to the left. Hazard is right down the seam. The safety Suter did not get over in time. He had on-top coverage. Hazard walks in from the 10-yard line for the first score of the day for the Argos.
46 yards for Slack to Manny Hazard. And the extra point by Chomik. What a start for the Argonauts. The big return by Gordon, and then Slack hitting Hazard, who now has 968 yards on the year as he goes after his first 1,000-yard season in the CFL.
When you get a team like the Argos in this situation, Chris, they come out with nothing to lose. You expect for them to be wide open. You look at Slack in the pocket. The offensive line doing a good job giving him time. Perfect spiral on that pass. The safety Suter did not get over. Hazard got in the seam. Great touchdown play. And Slack, the jubilation. This team needs someone to pick them up. Hopefully this will get it going.
Talked to Reggie yesterday about why Manny Hazard has developed into his favorite receiver, and he said, you know, in Houston last year in training camp, we got to know each other, so sometimes there's that bond between quarterback and receiver that makes it a natural.
System in Houston, Hazard grew up in that at the university. It created that bond between them.
Lance Chomik to kick it off. And it will bounce out of bounds at the 24-yard line, so the Argos will have to kick it over.
Well, this is a situation, now it's going to become Ken Austin. How will he respond to this? This is a quarterback that can work under tremendous adversity, and he's proved it game in, game out, especially with the aerial circus that was put on last week at Taylor Field between he and Doug Flutie.
And Ken's saying, okay, we're going to do this all over again. Last week, he and Doug Flutie trading touchdown passes back and forth up the field.
A couple of 500-yard passing days to go along with that. Not a bad day at the office, Chris.
Well, it could be one of those this afternoon, and Argo fans would like to see that kind of an offensive display. Well, Darrell Wallace and Terrell Ulmer have dropped deep.
Well, that's what I would like to see from the Argos this afternoon, some offensive productivity. They've been rather lackluster. They would put a few points on the board. They did that. They struck last week in Sacramento early, but the offense went into hiding after that point.
So Chomik again lines this one, and it hops over Wallace's outstretched arms, and will it be a fright night here at Skydome for the Riders? A tough start for Saskatchewan. 13 yards, the return by Wallace after the bouncing 73-yard kickoff. And Ken Austin leads his team onto the field, fresh off a 546-yard passing performance against Calgary. And he needs just one more touchdown pass today for his third straight 30-touchdown passing season.
Well, you can't say enough about what Ken Austin has meant to the quarterback with this team, and they count on him week in, week out.
Out of their scatter formation, it's Wallace trying the right side, and good pursuit led by Enos Jackson, the newcomer to the Argonaut defensive backfield, limits the gain to a short one for Wallace. Mike Saunders was the running back last time these two teams met, and he will be ready for the playoffs, but it's Wallace today, and there is that veteran receiving core that Kent Austin uses so well. Ray Elgard and Jeff Fairholm having career years, and Craig Hendrickson, their top offensive lineman this year. Mike Anderson will be butting heads with Mike Campbell this afternoon. The nose tackle, Austin on second and long, looking deep. There's Fairholm wide open, and Jeff Fairholm's in Argo territory, down at the 37 by Tahan Lewis.
That's what Jeff Fairholm does so well. We spoke about it in our opening that the linebackers for the Argonauts have not been getting the jams on the inside receivers. You see Fairholm is allowed to get inside, work back out to the corner. He's turned loose on the corner there by Lewis, and he's out in the flat wide open. Austin gets him the ball before he's brought down at the 37-yard line.
And Jeff Fairholm takes care of some business early with the 52-yard catch. Tack that on to 1,325 yards, and it's a career season for number 18 of the Roughriders. Saskatchewan in business, first down. In the flat, they go back to Fairholm, and he cuts over the 25 down to the 22-yard line. Mark Ricks, the former Saskatchewan Roughrider, makes the tackle, but it's been Austin and Fairholm early as they operate against this Argo defense. Campbell moving to nose tackle. Derek Steele, a newcomer, in the front four. Benson, Moan, and Costello, the linebackers, and the big changes in the secondary where Enos Jackson and Tahan Lewis are inside, and that's the matchup we'll be watching against Fairholm and Elgard this afternoon.
Well, they have their work cut out for them against these slot backs of Elgard and Fairholm.
First down, Austin with time. There's Narcisse, flagged down, and Narcisse down to about the 13-yard line.
Well, Narcisse is on his track to become the first receiver in CFL history to have 5 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. This play is going to be called back with an illegal offensive interference.
Offensive forward pass interference, Saskatchewan number 25. First down repeated.
But when you look at the options that Austin utilizes within his offense, he goes Elgard, Fairholm. Before Mike Saunders was injured and taken out of the lineup, it was back to him. Narcisse was basically the 4th receiver in his passing scheme, but year in and year out, he has that 1,000-yard season.
So first down over again from the 32-yard line. Austin, short drop, throwing in the flat, and he led Narcisse just a try too far, and Narcisse was wide open.
Since 1988, you look at this passing combo of these 3 receivers, this trifecta they have here. Elgard with over 7,000, Fairholm with over 6,000, Narcisse with over 5,000, a combined total of 19,330. But the most telling statistic is the 122 touchdowns on the bottom there. That's a lot of offensive production. You look at Elgard here, the leader of that pack, 11-year veteran of the Green Riders.
So it's 2nd and 20. 4 receivers to the left side, and Austin dumps it off to Darrell Wallace. A lot of room there. Wallace inside the 20 to the 15, but he will be short of the first down by 3. 17-yard pickup for Darrell Wallace. Andrew Thomas, the starting safety for the Argos, made the tackle.
Big play underneath by the Riders when you look at it to get them down in closer field goal range for Dave Ridgway, where he's 100% kicker in here. If you look at Wallace coming underneath, there's no linebackers in that soft underneath zone. Wallace is allowed to pick up the ball and gain 17 yards on that play prior to being tackled. But the Argos are going to have to stiffen up with their linebacking core and help out that secondary today.
So it'll be a 22-yard field goal attempt by robo kicker Dave Ridgway. 45 of 50 on the year now, 46 of 51. Riders on the board with the 499th career field goal of Dave Ridgway.
Where there was once only a place to sit.
I'm discovering what people know about BC credit unions. Pardon me, folks. Did you know that
Investing in one another.
Man, explosive start at Skydome today. Haven't played 5 minutes. 7-3 Argonauts.
Well, Chris, it was so important for the Argonauts to get on the board early in the first quarter. They've only scored 50 points in the first quarter this year. In giving up 110, they started in the deficit in a lot of games.
Make sure when you get back deep, man.
You see the defensive backfield right here for the Argos, knowing that they have to shore themselves up this afternoon. You got Lewis and Pleasant along with Allen there, and they're going to have to work really hard this afternoon to keep this team in the game.
Wally Zatilny across the 30, another pretty good run back for the Argonauts as he gets up to the 40 before he's met by Dan Rashovich. A 21-yard return by Zatilny, who was gloating the Montreal native, about the Canadiens' victory over the Maple Leafs last night. He and Pierre Vercheval were excited about that. And Reggie Slack back for his second series, although the first drive was one play. He has Mike Clements and Warren Hudson in the backfield. You've seen what Hazard can do. Andre Brown, the new slot back in the Argos offensive scheme. And up front, Blaine Schmidt will have his hands full today with his old teammate, Gerald Bayless, the nose tackle for Saskatchewan. Mike Pinball Clements on the draw play, and Gerald Bayless is there to limit the gain to a couple.
No sooner than you mention his name, Gerald Bayless steps in. That Saskatchewan defensive front, you see Hill, Lewis, Bayless, and Jerson, one of the best in the CFL. Lance, Bernard, and Crum. Bernard is leading the league in tackles. You got Wilburn, Donaldson, Suter, Anthony, and Brown. Suter's leading the team with 7 interceptions coming into this game.
There was some doubt about Vincent Donaldson's status after a concussion last week. And they have dressed an extra deep back today in case Donaldson goes down again. 2nd and 8, and Slack pulls it down, and down he goes.
Stu Hill stepping in, getting that sack.
8th sack of the year for Stuart Hill, number 126 on his career, and you got to like this front four, James. I think probably the best in the CFL.
Well, when they came into this game, the Argos have given up 85 sacks coming into this afternoon's game. Stuart Hill looking at an opportunity to pad his stats coming into this game. You see Gerald Bayless right there commanding one-on-one blocking right there. Good job by Belanger. But this Saskatchewan front four is relentless, and they'll be after Slack all afternoon.
Darrell Wallace, the lone man back, as Wayne Lamley is in to punt for Toronto. This will bounce at the 35. And Wallace is met immediately by Keith Costello. And it will be Saskatchewan football. And after a 40
Ken Austin becomes linebackers get back in good drop zones for those underneath receivers, the slot backs, Fairholm and Elgard. They're going to have a big day.
First down, Roughriders. Early movement from the Argonauts. Let's see if they were drawn offside. Costello was one of the boatmen to move quickly.
Offside. Number 37 on the defense. It's first down repeat.
You pointed him out. Costello jumped off a little prematurely there. These guys are kind of anxious defensively. They want to make something happen. They were able to hold the Riders to a field goal in their first possession. They're going to need more consistent defensive play like that as the game progresses on.
So it's 1st and 5 for the Roughriders. Play action. Austin now to Boyko. And he's drilled out of bounds by Thomas. But a big gain for the Roughriders up to the 53-yard line. A first down after the 13-yard pickup.
You can sense the confidence in the Saskatchewan offense. You see Ken Austin. He's constantly fading back in the pocket. The pressure could not get to him. He knew that Boyko would come open underneath. And we keep talking about those linebackers for the Argos. They need to play tougher defense. And that's where Boyko came, releasing out of the backfield, getting out in the flat.
Extra deep back in now for the Argonauts, and Austin out of the shotgun in the flat, the wobbling pass, and Enos Jackson signals no catch, but Darrell Wallace has the football at the 50-yard line.
Well, Wallace coming out of the backfield as Boyko did on the play prior to this, making the reception, and now Clark has been moved into the middle linebacker position for the Argos. They feel that he is their best athlete in that position on the team, but they're going to have to come with more tools than what they're coming with the of attack.
Bob Obilovich told us we'd go easy and early, and it's 2nd down and 4 for the Roughriders. Tries the near side. That's B.K. Williams, and the veteran wideout has the catch and a first down.
Well, BK has stepped up his game in the past couple of weeks. He had the big game last week against Calgary with over 100 yards in reception. Almost like the unknown man of this four-man receiving corps, but he is a good receiver in his own right. Kent say he doesn't make mistakes. He understands the offense, and he's withstood all challenges this year that have come after him with 4 different receiver changes.
Well, James, keeping with the Halloween theme, he's been called the phantom receiver of the Saskatchewan Roughriders because he doesn't really see the football that much, but a great decoy and a deep threat for the Roughriders. Once again, Austin with the completion. Donald Narcisse looking for his 5th consecutive 1,000-yard season. Has a catch at the 35-yard line. It's short of a first down, but a pickup of 8.
And he keeps his consecutive game string alive. You'll see Narcisse, he's coming in from the wide out position, coming underneath. There's no one in that short zone for the Argos. Clark tried to get an arm on him, and Lewis made the tackle at the end. Jeff Fairholm driving off hard, trying to get out in that soft zone. Enos Jackson coming up, a very physical defensive back who knows Jeff Fairholm very well.
Austin Sharp, he's 7 for 8, 118 yards so far, and they give it to Wallace up the middle, and he'll have the first down.
You like what Ken Austin is doing right now. He's engineering this drive very astutely. He is mixing the pass and the run very well. His short game, Kent does not go deep often, but this is one of those situations where you can look for him. He might go into the end zone on this play. Coach Don Matthews roaming the sideline once again. It's good to see him back roaming the sidelines after that emergency surgery 2 weeks ago in Calgary.
It's first down, Saskatchewan. They're driving into Argo territory. Austin goes to Elgard, and it takes 3 to bring him down at the 15-yard line. It's another Saskatchewan first down as they move the football at will here in the first quarter.
The CFL's all-time yardage receiver, Ray Elgard, Ken Austin's favorite target, working in the slot. He gets that running start. He's man-to-man on linebacker Benson. Benson cannot stay with Elgard. You got to bring up a defensive back, but then he's too physical for the defensive back. You know, one can't run with him, and the other one he just beats up.
Now 18 catches shy of Rocky DiPietro's CFL record for all-time catches. Austin, lots of time again in the flat. There's Narcisse trying to turn it up, and he spins out of bounds. Reggie Pleasant just got enough of him to knock him out.
You know, you look at this secondary for the Argonauts. They've had so many changes back there this year. They just haven't had a chance to gain any continuity. You look at Pleasant. He is a veteran member of this group. He came into this game with 3 interceptions, leading that group, but he's had so many different teammates back there. Tahan Lewis was the last tackler on that play against Narcisse, but they need to come up big with some man-to-man defense to get in the face of these Rider receivers.
Pickup of 8 for Narcisse, 2nd and 2. Saskatchewan knocking on the door, but Scott Hendrickson, the left guard, appeared to move early that time. And they should walk this one back 5.
Well, the Saskatchewan offense is feeling very confident right now.
Illegal procedure, 63 Saskatchewan, 2nd down repeated.
Scott Hendrickson playing alongside his brother on the left side of the offensive line.
Well, you get the Hendrickson's brother, the left guard right there just takes off. He's a little antsy to get in there. And those offensive linemen love when you call a running play. You can always see those knuckles turn white, and they're trying to get after you on that defensive line.
2nd and 7, quick hitter Austin, and it falls incomplete. Intended for Darrell Wallace. And although Saskatchewan has seemed to move the ball at will against the Argo defense, Ken Austin upset because they'll have to settle for another field goal attempt.
Well, trying to run that wheel route, Ken Austin had Wallace coming out in the flat, had Fairholm coming underneath trying to pick off the defensive back, and just a little short on the pass, and then another field goal they're going to have to settle for.
And this will be number 500 for Dave Ridgway. He's had a remarkable year, 37 of 38 from inside the 40.
And will Lou Pasaglia ever quit kicking? That's going to be the key if he's going to catch him.
That's what Dave Ridgway is asking. He adds number 500, and the Riders are within 1. Well, nice to have the Wayne Drinkwalter fan club in attendance at Skydome today. Big number 64, the Roughriders, native of Thunder Bay, Ontario, and his cheering section in the stands, but his ball club down by 1 here in the first quarter.
Well, Wayne is one of those guys who had started out his career as a defensive lineman. This season, he's made the move over to the offensive line, but he's a very valuable member to this Rider football team.
Wally Zatilny awaits the kickoff at his 17 and out to the 35. Best coverage we've seen from Saskatchewan so far.
Well, Reggie Slack is about to make his way onto the field, showing a great deal of grit, Chris, playing on an injured knee. He has what they call Bobby Orr knee, basically bone grinding on bone. He wears a brace, but is still sore and swollen, and apparently he will need another operation in the offseason to repair the damage. that he's doing to himself by continuing to play on it. Before the Argos signed him from Winnipeg, the Bomber doctor said he would never play football again. But he is, and he may be paying a price for it. Chris?
Time of possession, a big story of this first quarter, but Slack struck on the opening play of the game for a touchdown. Now looking deep for Andre Brown over his head, and it falls incomplete. Charles Anthony in coverage against the newcomer to the Argos offensive unit.
Big receiver out of the University of Miami, a rookie. One of those guys they wanted to get into their scheme, a 6'3" slot back with some speed, and they went out and found Brown, and they're hoping that he can be that one guy to offset what Hazard has done on the other side of the football.
Andre Brown, a former Miami Dolphin. He was with Ottawa earlier this year, James, and the hardest hit of the year he took over the middle against the Calgary Stampeders in a game we did back in August. 2nd and 10. Slack rolling and looking deep. There's Manny Hazard and Vincent Donaldson step for step. Good coverage by the Roughriders defensive halfback.
It's good to see Vincent Donaldson back in the game this week. After last week, he had those two violent concussions last week in Calgary, but you see him here running stride for stride with Hazard. Seeing him back on the field shows the type of gritty player that he is.
Yeah, right up until yesterday, there was some doubt about whether Donaldson would be in. There's Lamley getting set to punt.
Those collisions he had, they were on the specialty team, and he's a all-around football player because he gets out there. You'll see him on this specialty team right here. He's just one heck of a player.
Rush was on, but Lamley gets it away. And Wallace right in front of the Argo bench. Back up to the 39-yard line. We have 3 minutes and 1 second left. First quarter, and the Argos up by 1.
Welcome back to Sky Dome in Toronto, where Jeff Fairholm is on the bench right now nursing a sore left shoulder. If you get a closer look, you'll see that he's got ice underneath his shoulder pad. Fairholm injured the shoulder last week against Calgary at Taylor Field and re-injured it here in the first quarter after taking a shot from Enos Jackson. Bad news for the Riders. Chris?
Yeah, James, Saskatchewan needs a win to finish third, but either way, they're going to be on the road for the first playoff game, and I guess most importantly, they want to come out of this game healthy.
That is a key because they're not going to get a playoff game at home this year. They're making the playoffs, and that's the key for them.
Dan Farthing is in for Jeff Fairholm, and he makes the catch. Tahan Lewis knocked him out of bounds.
Well, Ray Elgard broke a CFL record last week, the all-time reception yardage mark held by Brian Kelly, that at Taylor Field, 11,186 yards in all. Now he set his sights on another record, Rocky DiPietro, 706 catches in a career, and he's getting some help with these glass-cutting gloves. They feel like fly paper or something, very tacky, very easy to hold onto a football, very easy to hold onto a microphone if you've got sweaty palms. Chris?
Thought it was all part of the costume. Here's a deep pass down the right side, and Donald Narcisse has the catch behind Mark Ricks.
Donald Narcisse, you know, defensive backs look at him week in, week out, and wonder how this player continuously gets open. But when you look at him working one-on-one here against Hicks in his third game in Argo uniform, Narcisse with a quick outside move gets up on that fly pattern, over the shoulder, perfect pass by Austin. Big play for the Riders.
Mark was talking about records. That's another record, a CFL mark, the 5th straight year Donald Narcisse has got over 1,000 yards. No one's ever done that in Canadian Football League history before. Now Austin looking back in the right side, and a pass incomplete. It's the second time they've run that pattern unsuccessfully here in the first quarter.
That out-up route, when you look at the accomplishments that this receiving core has gained together, Elgard with his all-time yardage, Narcisse with his 5 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, and you look at what Fairholm is putting at over 6,000 yards in receiving in his short CFL career. This is one very accomplished group.
So Narcisse becomes the 13th 1,000-yard receiver this year in the CFL. 14 is the record, and there are still a number of receivers knocking on the door, including Manny Hazard of the Argonauts.
Well, coming into this weekend, there was 22 receivers within reach of a 1,000-yard season.
There's Elgard with another catch.
And Elgard, every time he makes a catch, he is just adding on to his yardage reception record. And now he's within 17 of Rocky DiPietro. He gets that running start at the line of scrimmage. If you look, there's no linebackers in that underneath zone. Not until he catches the ball does Don Moan and Kent Benson show up along with Costello. But he's gained close to 10 yards on the reception before anyone has made contact with him.
And it looks like he just has the first down.
So we can say he gained 10 yards on the reception.
Top Canadian nominee again this year, and there's the all-time list now. And Elgard will continue to pad that for a couple of years more. He's got 2 more years on his contract, and at 34, he says, I'm going to play 2 more years.
And longevity has been a plus for him. 11-year veteran. You look at Kelly, Brian Kelly's record, he did that in 9 years.
Austin first down. Wallace out of the backfield. Don Moan there to drill Wallace. And they've used him a lot in this first quarter. That should not surprise the Argonauts because Mike Saunders on July 31st was utilized a lot out of the backfield, had 215 combined yards against Toronto.
Don Moan does not have the speed to play Wallace one-on-one. Don Matthews loves to get his backs involved in the offense. If you remember Lucius Floyd from a couple of years ago, Mike Saunders stepping in, they felt he was their most complete receiver until an injury took him out of the lineup, and they're hoping to have him back for the playoffs.
2nd and 3 for Saskatchewan out of the shotgun. Austin sets up. There's B.K. Williams spinning inside the 5 to the 3. And on the final play of the first quarter, we've got a flag down, and we may have to settle that out. We'll take a break and find out what the penalty marker's all about and return after this.
Oh, does this take me back?
CBC Sports presents the CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Dodge Trucks, reinventing the truck.
We're back at Skydome. It is now the end of the first quarter. That penalty marker was for an illegal pick against Dan Farthing of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. James, it meant a 2nd and long situation, and let's take a look at what Kid Austin called.
Well, this is the play to Donald Narcisse after the penalty right here on a deep out to Narcisse, working back towards the football, trying to pick up the first down. Reggie Pleasant with a great one-on-one open field tackle. The play prior to that, you had Dan Farthing lining up in the right inside slot with B.K. Williams lining up in the outside receiver spot. Farthing went on an out route, picked the receiver as B.K. came inside and made the reception down inside the 5, but for the 3rd consecutive drive for the Riders, it's been faulted by a penalty.
Let's go downstairs and join Mark Lee.
Well, Chris, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place, the final 3 playoff spots in the West are still up for grabs. Now, if all 3 of these teams, Edmonton, Saskatchewan, and BC, finish in a tie for 2nd, BC gets 2nd place based on its better intra-divisional record. Edmonton would be 3rd, Saskatchewan 4th. Now, if Saskatchewan loses today, BC and Edmonton could finish in a tie. If that happens, Edmonton gets 2nd place. And if BC and Saskatchewan finish in a tie, BC gets 2nd place. Suffice to say that Saskatchewan can do only as well as 3rd, and they need to win today's game to do that. I hope we haven't thoroughly confused you.
But Mark, can you go through that once again, please, just for the clarification up here in the box?
But an important point, because I think there was an assumption that the Edmonton Eskimos had clinched 2nd place with their victory over BC on Friday night. Not the case. Here's Austin on first down in the flat, and B.K. Williams has the catch at the 10-yard line. Mark Ricks right there to make the stop, and no gain, maybe a yard on the play. Well, it was all Saskatchewan statistically in the first quarter, and Kent Austin found 7 different receivers.
You gotta like that if you're a receiver playing for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. When you look at the numbers here, the net yards 220 for Saskatchewan versus 47, which all came on that slack pass for the Argos.
2nd and goal. Austin in the end zone. Elgard, touchdown. And Saskatchewan's finally completed a drive with a major score.
And that's what happens. You keep working to those inside receivers. You force that one-on-one coverage with the linebacker, and you cannot run with these inside Saskatchewan receivers with the linebackers, and that's what the Argos were forced to try to do.
Nose tackle Mike Campbell shaken up on the play.
You get Elgard, I mean, he's just a great receiver, and he gets that running, motoring start towards the line of scrimmage. He's in the right slot, and when you see him coming down, he's working against Don Moan up at the top of your screen one-on-one. Moan cannot run with him. Moan has lost a step or two in the last couple of years of his career. He had that knee injury that slowed him earlier in the season. But Elgard, Coach Obilovich was talking about him. He's not that fast, but with that running start, he takes about 2/10 off his 40 time, and you could see the difference in that separation once he got to the linebacker and went to the corner of the end zone.
690th catch of his career, and while we've talked a lot about records, this is a record-setting Saskatchewan offense. Mike Campbell continuing to get attention. Ken Austin, in just over 16 minutes, check that, just under 16 minutes, has 221 yards of passing offense. Could this be the kind of day when he makes a run at Danny Barrett's record of 601?
Well, he made a gallant effort after it last week, Chris, and he could have gotten that record if the Argos had not have been tied with the Stampeders and trying to set Dave Ridgway up for basically a sure field goal attempt when you get Ridgway, robo-kicker, coming into the game. Austin last week, 548 yards passing, within reach of those numbers this afternoon already.
Bob Obilovich expressed a lot of concern with his secondary going into the game, and none of the changes he's made has alleviated that concern here through just over 1/4 of play.
Well, filling the need for more team speed on the back end with the secondary, we haven't seen that, as you said, and maybe they might have to get a running start when the ball is snapped.
Ridgway adds the extra point. He has 7 points already this afternoon, and it's now a 13-7 Saskatchewan lead.
You know, and sitting up talking with Ken Austin yesterday in the press conference, you can see the confidence that he had in his ability to come out and orchestrate his offense up and down the field. He had spoke about the game that he and Doug Flutie had last week with each other. You see him here once again going to Ray Elgard. I mean, Harles, as he's so known by his teammates, his nickname that was given to him years ago. Big play guy, specialty teams. He's coming out after catching that touchdown pass to run down on kickoff coverage. Just an all-around good ball player for this Saskatchewan Roughrider football team.
Some Scabby fans here at Skydome.
Some of the young fellas enjoying this afternoon's contest. But to go back to Austin, you know, the accolades, and a question was posed to him about Doug Flutie. If Doug was not the player he was in Calgary, did he think he would be getting all accolades? And he had a great answer for it. Hey, we're friends, and Doug has brought a lot of notoriety to the CFL, and all the players take their hat off to him for what he's done for this league.
Wally Zatilny with the return for the Argonauts. Peter Miller with the tackle and a 15-yard return for Wally Zatilny. Well, there hasn't been much for Bob Obilovich to cheer about since that opening play. Slack to Hazard for the touchdown that gave the Argos the early lead.
He was brought in 7 games ago to try to resurrect this Argo team. The team has gone 2-4. He's doubled the victories that the team has had since he's taken over, but they just haven't found that consistency. We're hoping to get Pinball Clemens and Tracy Hams, two of the more noted players of the CFL, involved more in the offensive attack. Clemens is in, Ham is out.
There's Clemens. Cuts it back. Pinball Clemens. And he's finally drilled out of bounds, but close to a first down.
Well, Clemens, since Obi has taken over, has not had the receiving numbers that he had earlier in the season. Those numbers have dropped, but his rushing numbers have increased. And Obi wants to get the ball in his hands more, he says, but he really does need to do that this afternoon against this Saskatchewan secondary.
Pinball spirits buoyed before this game when wife Diane sang the national anthem and got a rousing ovation here at Skydome.
Well, that'll perk up a player, having his wife get showcased before he does. He has to go out and match that performance.
Gerald Bayless moving early, and we'll find out if he was drawn offside or not.
Well, he's going to contend that Green, the right offensive tackle guard, number 61, moved.
Offside, number 98 on the defense. It's first down repeated.
Maybe that's why Gerald is getting all those tackles for losses this year. You see him right there jumping off. Gerald at the left tackle up top. You see him getting that early start, and he's going to cost his team 5 yards on that play. But he's a great player when you talk about Gerald Bayless, and the rest of the offensive linemen in the CFL recognize that.
1st and 5, give to Clements, and he's down to the Saskatchewan 51. That's close to a first down. Ray Bernard, the leading tackler in the CFL, brought Clements to the turf.
Well, Clements, prior to Obilovich taking over as head coach, he only had 148 yards, Chris, rushing. The last 6 games, he's had 260 yards rushing. He loves to run the football, and offensive linemen love to have a running back that can carry the mail behind him.
12:20 to go, second quarter. It's 13-7 Saskatchewan. Out in the flat, too far for Hazard. He goes crashing into the sign with Charles Anthony in coverage for Saskatchewan.
Well, Hazard working out in the flat. Sometime the balls that Slack will throw ride just a little bit. He doesn't get much on them. You see his balls floating. This one, Hazard goes right off his fingertips. He's short receiver when you look at him, about 5'8", 5'9" in stature. Maybe he should have tried that one to the other side to his bigger receiver that they've brought in for this game, Brown.
Manny Hazard, the outstanding player for the Argonauts in '93.
One of the more pleasant surprises of their offense this year, and they haven't had many, but he's been a bright spot for them all year long.
2nd and 10, Argonauts. Slack with time, looking deep, but Andre Brown cut off the pattern, and it falls incomplete, and I guess that's a pretty good example of a new receiver in the Argos scheme.
Well, he cut off that pattern, but Slack was cut off in the backfield by two of the Saskatchewan defensive ends, Hill and Jerson. They had a meeting at the quarterback, and Slack did all he could just to get that one away. If you look at him dropping back here in the pocket, you see Hill with the inside move and Jerson right there also, and they just drive him to the turf here at the Mausoleum, the Sky Dome here in Toronto.
So Lamley back in. And Wallace deep for Saskatchewan. Argos would like to pin the Riders deep. He angles the kick, and there will be no return. This is out of bounds, and they will mark it at the 15-yard line. 11:22 to go here, first half, and the Riders up by 6.
The Argos' Mike Campbell is back at his spot on the Argo defensive line after getting repairs to a turf burn on his left elbow. It caused a fair bit of bleeding, but not to be taken too lightly. I know it doesn't sound like much, but on artificial turf, these athletes can often get first and second degree burns, but he's back and willing. Chris?
You can see it there on his pants, what that turf burn did to him.
First play of this drive for Saskatchewan, and they hand it off to Darrell Wallace for a gain of maybe a yard or two. Don Moan in on the tackle for the Argonauts.
There's center Mike Anderson, who gets every play started for the Riders offense. He wanted to wish his dad and his nephew a happy birthday today back in California. You see Mike Campbell getting back in, caught up there in the middle by Vida and Hendrickson there. He's taken back to the turf. He might have to check himself again for turf burns. Mike Anderson calling out the offensive line signals right there.
2nd and 8 Saskatchewan, a penalty flag down. Donald Narcisse knocked out by Tahan Lewis near the first down marker, but let's find out what the flag's about.
Chris, you know, it's amazing how often Narcisse is wide open, not a defensive back within 2 to 3 yards of him. When you look at him, he comes off the line of scrimmage. Seems like every part of his uniform is moving from time to time. We're going to get an illegal procedure here against Saskatchewan.
Illegal procedure. 81 on the offense. Repeat, second down.
Well, it's a topic of conversation whenever you discuss Ray Elgard, that running start, and whether or not he is offside a certain number of times. That time it was called.
Well, he got in that neutral zone, and it's very difficult to time that up consistently. We have Jeff Fairholm back in the game again. It's good to see that. But Harles gets that running start, and it gives him that big advantage over the secondary.
2nd and 13. They throw it in the flat. Bruce Poyko has the pass, but he's behind the line of scrimmage or right at it, so no gain on the play.
No, he picked up 3. They lost 5 on the penalty, but Saskatchewan has had these penalties that have slowed down their drives. First quarter where they had a succession of series where they were killed by penalties. When you see Mike Anderson down here on one knee, hopefully the big guy is okay and he'll be able to go off under his own power. They cannot afford to lose him. We saw Wayne Drinkwalter earlier with his fan club he would probably come in at center if Anderson has to miss a series or two. It's good to see him up, and he'll make it off the field on his own power. He's one of those old veterans that looking for a little TV time. I think that's what he's doing. I mentioned his name too soon.
Yeah, this is where you're supposed to say happy birthday.
Oh, okay. Let's say happy birthday to his dad and his nephew, Matt, back in California. You've been taken care of, Mike.
169th consecutive game, and we hope Mike's okay. He'll be back.
Trainer Ivan Gutfrin right there, one of the better physiotherapist trainers in the CFL, been with the Riders a long time, and he makes sure these players are ready week in, week out to play for this Green Rider team.
First punt for Brent Manich. Wayne Drinkwalder is the snapper on third downs for Saskatchewan. Pinball Clements, the lone man back for the Argonauts, awaits the punt at midfield. Rushes on, Ricks is in, but Manich got the punt away, and it's Clements backpedaling, looking for a seam, not there. Brooks Finley. Nice work downfield for the Roughriders on specialty teams.
Joshua is a member of the War Amps CHAMP program for child amputees. He lost his leg in a boating accident. He visited the Sky Dome to present the Play Safe Award to the Toronto Argonauts and the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Thanks for the great plaque, Joshua. The CFL is proud to support the Play Safe program.
Hey, Joshua, do you have a message for the kids watching out there?
Whatever game you play, play safe. All right.
With money, you like that. It's something to brag about.
Well, the countdown to Grey Cup 1993 underway, and on November 28th we'll be at McMahon Stadium, and there are some people who think the Saskatchewan Roughriders might just be there to represent the West. Of course, Calgary, the heavy favorites right now, and we knew the Mike Campbell injury was serious, but I didn't think it was that serious.
Well, you know, you speak about Saskatchewan Roughriders, there's Mike speaking about he's okay. One of the teams that you don't want to face when you're an opposing team and you get in a bad weather situation, the Riders practicing it every day, and they don't mind going out on a cold, wet day playing some good football.
Here's Pinball Clements cutting back. Clements has close to 5 yards on that pickup. Bobby Jurison and Vincent Donaldson combining on the tackle, and
Clemens a little upset, thinking he might have gotten a little further, or someone grabbed his face mask on that play, and he's letting the official know that he didn't appreciate that the lack of call not being made right there.
Now look at the yards so far, and we've got 9:01 to go first half, and already 234 yards for Saskatchewan, and Bob Obilovich saw most of his yards come on the very first play of the game. Slack to Hazard for a 46-yard touchdown. Flag is down. Clements breaks into the backfield, but this is coming back. The Argos were offside on the play.
Bobby Gordon, the wide out to the right side of the formation, was about 2 yards past the line of scrimmage at the snap of the ball, and they're going to bring this back. The Argos can ill afford these type of mistakes. They need all the yardage they can gain.
Offside, 84 on the offense, second down repeated.
And Bobby Gordon was a full count early.
You know, that's just lack of concentration. When you're out there, that wide out position, you can't get a running start. All you have to do is look inside to see whether the football is being snapped or not. You don't want to have to listen to the quarterback's cadence, and you should be out far enough where you can't hear it anyway.
So it's 2nd and 10 after the 5-yard penalty. Slack out of the shotgun. Here's Clements. Has to beat a man, slips underneath, and Pinball Clements down to the 40, flag down, and Clements has a first down pending the penalty marker.
Well, out there working against Crum one-on-one in the flat, but Barry Wilburn is going to be flagged for a face mask on this play against Clements.
Major foul, face mask, number 3 on the defense. It's first down.
When you look at Wilburn, probably the most feared defensive back in the CFL today. Teams early in the season when he came in tried to challenge him, saw that he was for real. You know, they said he was an NFL cast-off. This guy can play football in any league. When you look at him right there, gets the hand on Clemens' face mask, just a brush across, but one heck of a football player.
Pinball Clements just ducked underneath that time. We'll be featuring Barry Wilburn at halftime. Argos on the move, and they go back to Pinball, cuts it back. And he's down to the 21-yard line. Vincent Donaldson made the tackle, and Pinball a little slow to get up. The hitman, Vincent Donaldson.
Well, a lot of times he comes in there with that head, and last week it cost him on a couple of situations with those violent collisions. If you look right here, if we can get a freeze, you'll see that hand right there on Clemens' face mask as Clemens is going up the sideline. I don't think Barry is accustomed to facing many players who is about 5'4" in stature. He stands 6'3" himself.
2nd and 6 for the Argonauts at the 21-yard line. Long count from Slack, and did he draw them offside? Or is it a time count violation? The whistle blowing as the 20-second clock counted down.
The right side of that Rider defensive line got across there really quick. Gary Lewis was one of those.
Illegal procedure. Number 63 on the offense, 2nd down repeated.
Francois Belanger that time, the left guard, moved a little early, and I guess that's why Gary Lewis got across the line of scrimmage. They're facing each other, and Belanger moved a little prematurely, and Gary Lewis, being quick to get off the football there, got across and drew the penalty.
So after the penalty, 2nd and 11. Andre Brown in motion, 3 receivers left side. Slack looking that side. There's Brown. Can he break the tackle? No. He was all tied up by Carlton Lance, and he'll be short of the 1st down. Carlton Lance, the Rookie of the Year in Saskatchewan, 93.
Carlton Lance is a very interesting ball player. He came in originally as a defensive back. He's been switched to that Sam the strong linebacker position in this scheme of things with Saskatchewan. He has the physical presence to come up and meet the run, but he has the speed to get back in coverage and cover those halfbacks one-on-one coming in that slot.
So it's 3rd down, and Lance Chomick in the game. Lance went 0 for 4 last week in Sacramento. Missed from 52, 50, 47, and 38. This one right in his range at 27 yards out.
That's been kind of the story of the Argos all year. Just a miss.
Not this time, though, and Chomick has the Argos within a field goal.
It has a great reliability, and it's a lovely looking 4-wheel drive.
The vehicle.
Visit your Eddie Bauer store and get a free Adventurer t-shirt with any $30 fragrance purchase.
They say Mozart compact.
Welcome back to the Sky Dome in Toronto, where we invite you to join us shortly for Live at the Half. And coming up, Leader by Example. Saskatchewan's Barry Wilburn puts his football career back together again after one of the biggest mistakes of his life. Also, the game story from Ottawa, where the Roughriders lost the visiting Blue Bombers, leaving the tortoise race for the 3rd place final battle in the East still in question. Chris?
Lance Chomick to kick it off. And it'll be Darrell Wallace from his 15-yard line. Argos quickly downfield. Neil Wallace at the 25. Reggie Clark among the tacklers, limiting the return to 11 yards for Wallace.
Well, they spoke about Clark's speed prior to the game yesterday in the press conference. That time it was evident. Reggie coming down with a full head of steam, meeting Wallace on the sideline at about the 26-yard line, just burying him at that spot. This Don Whitman and Scott Oates sitting across the way over there. Look like they got here after that game yesterday in Calgary.
I'm not going to get dragged into that. Crowd having fun, though. Their Argos down by 3 here. Late 1st half. Austin under pressure, and the screen to Boyko. Boyko nailed by Don Moen at the 30 after a pickup of about 4 yards.
A very slow developing play that time by the Riders offense. Austin could not get his offensive line released out in front of Boyko, but a great read by Don Moen of sifting through those offensive linemen as they came out to bring Boyko down with just a 4-yard gain on the play. Don Moan, a KG veteran, been here, the Iron Man of the Argos team for many years, and he's seen the highs and lows of 2 Grey Cup victories and a tough season this year in '93.
2nd and 6, and that pass incomplete. Elgard couldn't bring it in, and it might have been up for grabs after the carom off Elgard. Enos Jackson, Ken Benson were in coverage against Big 81.
Well, Benson's the Argos' leading tackler, so he's going to be around the ball most of the afternoon. And Jackson being inserted back in the lineup, a veteran who knows these Rider receivers very well, were both right on top of that play.
And it appears, James, the Argos have finally made some defensive adjustments. That's 2 series in a row where Saskatchewan has been quickly forced to punt.
Well, it's pleasant to see that their defense has shored itself up this afternoon because they've been like a sieve most of the season. David Archer had a marvelous evening last week against this defense.
And a long first quarter against Austin. Ball bouncing back towards the Rough Riders. Clements finally picks it up. Brent Matic was there, but so were a number of other Argos, and flags flying everywhere. It turns out to be just a 20-yard Matic punt with the bounce back. And a no yards penalty likely as well.
Well, that's a tough situation where you get that ball bouncing back towards the coverage team and all the players are scrambling, trying to get out of the way, and the ball is continuously chasing them. You cannot turn your back on the ball completely because if it's picked up, it can be ran, but you just can't down it in the CFL. The referees here trying to sort out the penalty. Matic was one of the players that was diving in there. He's allowed to recover his own kick if he gets close enough.
No yards. Number 87 on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty. The penalty is declined. It's first down.
So BK Williams was ruled to be within that 5 yards, but with the bounce back rule, Argos will take the football where Clemens picked it up and was finally stopped. Great field position, 45-yard line of the Rough Riders.
Well, I saw Matic within that 5 yards, and he's eligible. Once he crosses that barrier, any rider is allowed to come within that 5-yard range. That's why the penalty was denied.
Bayless took the extra shot at Slack. He was offside and then decided to just carry through and give Slack a little tap, but it was not appreciated by that Argo offensive line.
Well, what we're looking at here is a 20-yard penalty on Gerald Bayless. You're going to get him for jumping off sides, and you're going to get him for rough play also because the shot on Slack might have been uncalled for, and then he gets into it with Green, Bruce Green, the offensive guard.
We asked Bob Obilovich yesterday how he was going to handle Gerald Bayless, and he said he was going to put James Curry in charge of that. But
well, I'm handling from a distance up here. I don't want to get down there and play against Gerald. Gerald is a great ball player, plays with a lot of intensity, and you could see it on that play. He felt if he was going to get the 5-yard penalty, he was going to hit somebody for it, and Slack was the recipient of that. And that's basically
offside. Number 98 on the defense. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 61 on the offense. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 98 on the defense. It's down repeated.
Well, they trade off the roughing penalties to both Bayless and Green, so it is just a 5-yard penalty. There's the front four of Saskatchewan. An average of 9 years per man up front and 322 career sacks. Hill, Lewis, Bayless, Jurison.
And when you look at Gary Lewis, probably the most underrated defensive lineman to ever play in the CFL. Year in, year out, he steps up with big plays.
Here's Hudson, and he is nailed. Just inside the 40-yard line, Wilburn there. And Slack was under pressure as he delivered that football. And it was Gary Lewis.
Gary Lewis putting the pressure on Reggie Slack, stepping up. You call his name, he has to respond. Warren Hudson being used out of the backfield. He had 16 receptions coming into this game. He averaged 11 yards a reception. That time picking up 8. The Argos really need to pick up a first down to keep this drive alive right here.
2nd and 2. And they'll follow Hudson. Pinball crashing to the 35, then knocked back And let's see where they spot it. Pinball's going to help them place the football. He should be close to the first down.
Well, he's still not down. When you get Pinball trying to run up to that seam, he's running about 3 feet tall up in there. And Ray Bernard came up and made a great stop on the play, but slid off of him and stopped him short of the first down. Looks to be from here, but with that spot, looked like he's going to pick it up now.
Ball just nudging the 35-yard line, and it is a first down. So the Argos move the yardsticks. 3:32 to go. Second quarter.
You look at Warren Hudson here. He is thought about from his teammates as another offensive lineman. He is a great blocker. He and Chris Johnstone, probably the two best blocking fullbacks in the CFL. Johnstone being in Winnipeg. Those two players were involved in that early season trade that got them from both teams.
Slack first down. Lots of time going deep. Looking Andre Brown. Touchdown. Andre Brown, the newcomer to the Argo offense, has his first Toronto major on a pass from Reggie Slack of 35 yards.
Big play by this Argo offense. Once again, Slack going to another one of his inside receivers. When you look at him here, the offensive line gives him the time. You get Brown working one-on-one against Anthony. Anthony, not bad coverage. Perfect pass by Slack. But they felt that they could work on Donaldson and Anthony. Wilburn and Brown playing on the corners are two tough individuals. They felt that they were going to have success. It would be inside, and it's accounted for 2 touchdowns thus far this afternoon.
Chomick adds the point after, and the Argonauts have regained the lead with 2:50 to go. First half. Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have had a big territorial edge in this first half, but a 3-play, 45-yard drive. Reggie Slack with that beautiful touch pass to Andre Brown puts Toronto back on top.
When Slack got to the line of scrimmage, he recognized the coverage early that the Riders were in. Once again, the safety suitor did not get over to help Anthony in the coverage. Brown set jubilant after his touchdown.
Here's Wallace from his 11-yard line. And once again, Reggie Clark down first, but Wallace got away up to the 32.
Yeah, I'm impressed with this Reggie Clark running down on kickoff coverage. I guess the old fresh leg adage really does come in this situation, but this is the type of determination that the Argos have to play with all afternoon, and maybe his teammates can take a cue from him and continue this intensity. You see Clark there hustling down, didn't get a clean wrap on Wallace, but slowed him enough for the coverage to get there and bring him down inside the 35.
He almost ran by Wallace that time.
Well, Obilovich said that he was excited about this young man's speed, and we've seen a couple occasions already this afternoon, Chris, where he's just blown over people.
Speed a key word, too, for OB, who feels the Argos have to upgrade in that area. Elgard in the flat. And Ray Elgard draws a crowd at the 40. He has a gain of close to 8.
Ken Austin right now, he needs to mount a drive for his team. Coming off that big game last week, 235 yards thus far in the first half. Ken Austin is a field general. When you get him in this position, he can control a football game, and right now he's looking to pick apart this Argo secondary.
He was 78% efficient last week against Calgary and 19 for 23 so far this afternoon. Handoff on 2nd and 2 to Wallace. Flag down. Wallace down close to the first down.
Well, I think we're going to get Dan Payne holding on Rodney Harding on this play. I mean, the big offensive lineman put one of those arms around Hardy's back and took him for a ride.
Holding, number 59 on the offense. 2nd down repeated.
Well, we had a couple of holding plays right there. This time they get one of the Hendrickson brothers, and doesn't like to be recognized like that.
I think Craig's saying, no, it was Payne on the other side.
Watch Kent Austin when he goes to the line of scrimmage. Quite often he puts one hand behind his back and shows the snap count to his running backs and slot backs. He says he does that usually when the play is very complicated and they have their mind on their performance.
Not out of the shotgun, and Mark Ricks has the interception. Byron Williams brought him down immediately, but Ricks against his old team has a turnover for the Argonauts.
Well, Williams broke that one off just at the last moment. Austin expected for him to continue upfield. He broke it off. Ricks kept running, and an interception for the Argos. Once again, a big play for them. Austin there barking out his signals. You see him, he just lets this one fly. He heaves this one about as far as he can. Williams couldn't get there. Ricks was right in flight, and Williams got away with a face mask on that one. Right there, Rodney Harding. Whoa, Ken Austin said, hey, ref, how about protecting me? But as defensive linemen know, those guys become defenders after they throw that interception.
That's a James Curry play.
Oh, hey, wait a minute now. You're sitting too close, Chris.
Oh, they called that one downstairs for me.
Yeah, about 6 years ago, that would have got a penalty.
Just the 13th interception of the year for the Argonauts. They're last in that category, but they have the football, and look out. Mike Clements got the ball, and then he got Gerald Bayless in his face.
JB, Ricks right there, the young man, happy after that interception. A big play, and the Argos have stepped up this afternoon. They are playing a football game. Many people thought that they would lay over when Saskatchewan rolled up in here, but a lot of pride has surfaced this afternoon with this Argo football club, and they're playing a whirl of a first half.
And remember, the Argonauts need at least one more win to qualify for the postseason.
And also, that was Bayless's 18th tackle for a loss on the season.
Behind the, not to mention 9 sacks as well. He's had quite a year. Here's Slack throwing downfield, and it's over the head of Bobby Gordon. And it falls incomplete. It'll be third down. 1:40 left first half.
Stuart Hill putting good pressure on Reggie Slack on this play. Slack was not able to check off to his secondary receiver. You'll see Bayless working up top, being pulled up there by Jurison, and Hill slammed him to the ground just as he tossed that pass, not allowing him a clear path to find his receiver.
Reggie Slack now 6 for 11, 115 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game as Stu Hill heads to the sidelines. Punting situation for Wayne Lamley and the Argonauts. It's not a great kick towards the sidelines and out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 46. So nice field position for Ken Austin after just a 31-yard Lamley punt.
Well, that's 10 yards below his 10 yards below his average coming into this game today. The Argos have not had consistency at their punting game. Earlier in the year, Hank Alistic was injured. He's been out most of the year with a hamstring injury that he has not been able to get healthy. Lamley has had the inconsistency. That's one of the part of the games that can really hurt you. If you look at the Ottawa Roughriders last night, they had a lot of problems with their kicking game, and it cost them in the end.
2-minute drill time for the Roughriders. Nobody does it better than Ken Austin. And he's got Narcisse complete across midfield, and that's very close to a first down for Saskatchewan. Should be enough to move the yardsticks.
Narcisse out of the SWAC. Once again, working out there one-on-one. You see him heading inside just on a quick stop route. He sets down. Ken Austin gets the ball to him. He turns back to the outside, able to pick up an additional 5 yards after the reception, and Lewis is down on the play after that hit on Narcisse.
80 yards for number 80 in the game, and that's the first down for the Roughriders since they scored the touchdown by Ray Elgard. So after a very quick start out of the gate for the Roughriders offense.
You see Narcisse right here trying to split the receivers, having his mouthpiece knocked out, make that an earpiece come out of the helmet as Lewis was hit right there. That was a heck of a hit by Thomas coming in. And generally when you see a defensive back down on the field, you can always call another defensive back the culprit. A lot of times, Chris, those guys are coming in with those eyes closed and make those hits.
And while they attend to Tahan Lewis, there's a timeout on the field. 1:25 to go, first half at Skydome. And once again, Donald Narcisse in the flat, thrown out of bounds by Reggie Pleasant. Kevin Whitley has come in to replace Tahan Lewis.
Chris, when you look at this Rough Rider scheme of things offensively, this offense basically operates in a 10-yard realm. And when you look at what Ken Austin can do in that, and this offensive line that has only given up 22 sacks on the season coming into this game, you know that he's going to get rid of the ball quickly. and you're not going to get that pressure from the defensive front. It makes it very easy for him to complete passes.
They set up that screen over the middle, and Boyko is bumped out of bounds.
And once again, a 6-yard pass to Boyko. Rodney Harding was applying the pressure to Ken Austin, but when you're throwing that 6-yard pass, it's very difficult. You can see right here as Rodney Harding gets free in the middle, but Ken Austin is backpedaling. He's able to throw that ball because he knows where his receivers are going to be. Boyko is running that precise route, and it picks up another first down.
Riders have moved it down to the 38 of the Argonauts. It's Toronto by 4, 17-13, but Saskatchewan threatening. Quick in the flat again. Wallace is there. And some words being exchanged in the pits. It looked like Hendrickson lost a helmet, and he was talking to Mike Campbell, among others.
Well, it looked like Mike Campbell had a grasp of his face mask, and Henderson didn't appreciate it and ended up losing his helmet. But, you know, you like what Austin does in this offense. He throws the ball so quickly. Once again, another flat route, 7-yard pickup. And when you do that, it's so difficult for the defensive backs to jump those and pick one off.
Austin tries the near side. There's Narcisse, breaks a tackle down to the 20-yard line. Another Saskatchewan first down. And it's textbook 2-minute drill time for Kent Austin, and Bob Obilovich's defense hasn't been able to stop it.
Well, you look at Hicks out here. He's helpless working against Narcisse out on the corner. Ricks comes up, Jackson comes in and misses him. But when you're working in that 5 to 7 yard range, you just can't smother him as a defensive back. And if you take the gamble and come up on the receiver, then all of a sudden with Austin with that pump fake and the receiver takes off, he's behind you for the touchdown.
It's an injured Argo down.
Steele.
Derek Steele, the newcomer out of Maryland.
His first game as an Argo. This is what players have done in the CFL throughout its history. When you get in a situation where an offensive team has been driving, you generally have a designated player who will go down and force the clock to stop or force a situation where the defense can regroup, is what the Argos are trying to do right now. You'll see the trainer, Kevin Duguay, checking out his left knee right there. Ricks doesn't seem to be in too much discomfort, and maybe the team needed a break in this situation, make that Steele.
Steele, the newcomer, 6'3", 265, and Bob Obilovich was hoping that that size up front could maybe get hands up in the face of Kent Austin. Just showed a fan in the stands up on the Jumbotron wearing a Montreal Canadiens jersey and the building exploding.
Yeah, he might not live long walking around with what happened last night in Montreal if he walks outside the stadium with that jersey on.
Saw Donald Narcisse after that last catch as his third 100-yard receiving game of the year. And in this 2-minute drill, 5 pass plays, all between 7 and 11 yards. Bruce Elliott comes in to replace Steele.
And that's what Ken Austin does so well, and why he's so feared by the rest of the defenses around the CFL, is that he throws the ball so quickly. He allows his receivers to catch the ball, get their shoulders squared up, turned upfield, and look at the defense and start running with the football.
Those guys desperate for an Argo victory. Somehow to get the double blue into the playoffs. Here is Donald Narcisse, and he has a lane to the end zone. Touchdown! 20 yards, a touchdown for Donald Narcisse, and Kent Austin delivers another textbook 2-minute drill.
Perfect precision by Ken Austin, moving his team up and down the field. Donald Narcisse with his 9th touchdown reception of the season, and the Argos have been giving up so many of those short intermediate passes. Right here you see this slip screen that the Riders are running. They bring Narcisse underneath, you pull the offensive lineman out, you see Henderson with the block downfield getting him into the end zone. Big play to almost end the half for the Riders.
Donald Narcisse, 8 catches, 120 yards in the first half alone, and the Roughriders back on top by 3. You talk about unheralded Gary Lewis on defense, but nobody really talks enough about Donald Narcisse having another outstanding year.
You see the offensive lineman, Vida Hendrickson, getting downfield, a kick out by Elgard in the flat on the defensive back coming inside, and Narcisse strutting his stuff in the end zone after that touchdown reception. But a great drive by Kent Austin, as you said, unheralded. 5 consecutive 1,000-yard season, goes up in the stand, gets a bite to eat after the touchdown. Donald Narcisse is doing it all today.
Yeah, Rider pride right across the country. But Narcisse, last 5 years, and he has set the record today, 5 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. In those 5 years, he's had 81, 86, 76, 80, and this year 76 catches so far. So a model of consistency at the wideout position for the Roughriders. Here's Bobby Gordon on the return, and he's out of bounds at the 42.
When you speak about the model of consistency, Chris, those are the players that for the most part go unrecognized throughout their football careers, because you expect this from them year in and year out. You'll have players pop up and have the great 1,500-yard, 1,600-yard receiving seasons. All of a sudden, they fade into obscurity. But when you look at a Donald Narcisse, every year of his career, 1,100, 1,200 yards in receptions, 80 receptions, that's what makes teams consistent and winners. And he's been a winner ever since the Riders have had him there, and they've improved their team year in and year out.
We saw Saskatchewan use 51 seconds of their 2-minute drill to score. Reggie Slack has 37 seconds to work with to try and get back on even terms. They run the screen, and here is Pinball Clements, and he can't get away from Gerald Bayless, who gives you another example of why he is Saskatchewan's outstanding player in '93.
Not only does he make plays behind the line of scrimmage, but when you watch Gerald Bayless in his relentless pursuit, running down a Mike Clements out in the flat, making the open field tackle, not letting go. Pinball trying to spin, but Bayless has that ankle.
Second down. There's a completion and a first down to Andre Brown, and he wisely gets out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 50. First down, 14 seconds left, and Slack needs one more completion to get into Lance Chommick field goal range.
And what Slack has done on his last 2 plays is that he's gotten rid of the ball in around 3 seconds. When he goes back in the pocket and he wants to wait around that 4-second range, he allows the pressure up front to get to him. And this time he was able to get the ball to Brown and let him get out of bounds and save some time.
Brown comes in motion to the near side. 3 receivers to the left. Slack will roll left. And the touch pass complete to Hazard at the 44. 8 seconds to go.
Well, he's going to have to get the ball off in a hurry right here and take a quick snap, or is he going to call a timeout? He doesn't recognize he has 8 seconds to work with. Now he's going to take his timeout.
Had they got Hazard out of bounds, they could have saved it, but they call the timeout. Right now, it'd be a 51-yard Chommick field goal, his longest this year, 52, and that was with a stiff breeze at his back in Regina.
Well, maybe we can get a couple of blades of grass and check the wind conditions in here, but seems like, he doesn't seem to have the breeze at his back right now, but it's well within his range. Lance Chommick has kicked field goals further than this in his career. He hasn't had a consistent season this year. But the Argos, I think, are going to go for it here on second down, try to improve it, because if they get the completion, the clock will stop and they can bring the field goal team on the field. Slack marching back onto the field, getting in the huddle, and he's going to go for it here on second down, try to improve his field position to get it about 10 yards closer for Chommick to attempt a field goal attempt.
Been an interesting first half here. The Argos trying to get back on even terms. Slack has the completion, and out of bounds with 4 seconds is Hazard.
Picked up 7 yards on the play to improve the field position from a 51-yard field goal to about a 45-yard field goal, and Lance Chommick should be able to nail this one, hopefully, and pull the Argos within a tie at halftime of the Riders.
26 of 38 on the year.
55 is his career longest. This is 10 yards shorter than that. And this is a big play for the Argos to give them that lift going into the locker room at halftime.
To tie at the half, Chommick puts it up. And it's good! And so an interesting end to the first 30 minutes of football. First, Saskatchewan drives for a touchdown, but Reggie Slack takes them right back for the field goal. Mark?
Well, Chris, the Roughriders indeed look like they're peaking for the playoffs in their final game of the season, but Toronto, seemingly ambivalent in the past, is also making a case for third in the East. We'll be back with Live at the Half after this.
History teaches.
Well, 2 weeks ago, when Matt Dunnigan suffered a severed Achilles tendon, the entire hopes of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers fell into the lap of career backup quarterback Sammy Garza. And last night in Ottawa, Garza stepped up and picked up where Dunnigan left off, a 36-16 win over Ottawa. Sammy Garza silenced anyone who had doubts he could be a starting quarterback in the CFL. Last night in Ottawa, he threw 3 touchdown passes, reassuring not only himself, but his teammates too, that he can lead this team in Dunnigan's absence on the road to the Grey Cup.
I think it was pretty an important win, not for the standings or anything, but I think important because as far as my teammates and just trying to get the team going and trying to get a groove going in Toronto since we lost Matt, and I think it was really important for us to come out here and win the game.
For Ottawa, it was their 14th loss, and it comes amid more turmoil. Dexter Manley was suspended before the game for insubordination, calling coach Ron Smeltzer a liar, among other things in the newspaper. And once again, owner Bernie Gleiberman was under siege.
Well, first of all, I'm tired of hearing that our decision to bring Dexter Manley here was the decision that's caused all these losses, because that's hogwash. Nobody has ever said about our decision to bring Brian Bonner here, bring Brian Bonner back, and our defense, as you saw tonight, played to the very last play. Nobody has given us credit for having made that decision. And that was our decision also, to bring Brian Bonner back.
And so it goes in Ottawa, from the ridiculous to the redeeming now. Saskatchewan cornerback Barry Wilburn is rated as the best in the league in his first year in the CFL, but his success belies a troubled past.
Independent tire dealers have found a tire around.
Welcome back to the Sky Dome in Toronto, where it's all tied up. Saskatchewan 20, Toronto 20. Ken Austin is his usual self, 2 touchdowns in the first half, but Reggie Slack also has a pair, and the big story is the Argo porous defense, which is bending but not breaking. And Chris Cuthbert, we've got ourselves a football game.
We certainly do, Mark, and I think a lot of people didn't expect it this afternoon. Statistically, it's one-sided. Saskatchewan a big edge in yards. Toronto, James is 158 yards, but 2 big plays have got them in this football game.
Well, you got to like the 2 good plays that they've had here offensively in the first half, and it was set up by specialty team play. The opening kickoff was set up, the first touchdown, the hazard that they scored on the 46-yard pass, and then they were able to come back. You're looking Slack right here. He's dropping back the offensive line's doing a good job. He's finding Hazard about the 10-yard line. He stumbles into the end zone after the reception, and a great play to start the game for the Argos. They were able to come back later. They had a short punt, and they were able to get good field position once again, caused by the specialty teams, and able to take it in for another touchdown.
And just when it looked like Saskatchewan was taking control, the short punt, pinball Clemens an alert play, and they throw the pass to Andre Brown.
Well, a big play. They brought Andre Brown in, feeling they needed that big inside receiver. He was able to deliver here in his first game, picking up the pass in the corner of the end zone, beating Anthony in the back to put the Argos in the lead once again.
All that said, Ken Austin with a terrific first half, 299 yards passing, and a great 2-minute drill to close it out.
I mean, just a tactician at work. I mean, Ken Austin moved the team down the field marvelously. You get Narcisse on the inside slip screen. He got his big offensive lineman out in front of him. They were getting those downfield blocks to put Saskatchewan ahead. They thought at halftime with 41 seconds to go.
Both teams need a win. Certainly the Argos need it even more, and it should be a very interesting second half. Mark?
Chris, it's 2020. The question in the second half, can Reggie Slack pitch with Kent Austin? We'll have that story when we come back right after this.
There are some things parents
If you're living with occasional pain, here's exciting news. The athletic trainers of every major pro sport used to recommend one pain-relieving gel, Flexall 454. Now they recommend two. Introducing new Extra Strength Flexall and a moisturizing aloe vera base, Flexall and Extra Strength Flexall, to help you live better, work better, feel better, get better. Get Flexall or a new Extra Strength Flexall. The pain relief pro trainers recommend.
It has dual airbags.
And we welcome you back to Skydome. Chris Cuthbert, James Curry, Mark Lee, and the CFL on CBC crew, and a Halloween crowd at Skydome enjoying this football game between the Argonauts and the Roughriders. Last home game for Toronto this year, and a short kick to start this second half. Argos have the football. Mark Ricks has the ball, and Toronto starts with a bang in the second half. They're already in Saskatchewan territory.
Well, we spoke about it opening of the broadcast that Toronto was a desperate team. They needed to take chances and make things happen. Bob Ovilovich coming out with a little animation to start the second half. Lance Chomick with the perfect kick. Lofts it up. Saskatchewan not expecting this to occur. And Rick's able to come down, pick that ball off in flight, and get it down to the 53-yard line. The Argos with great field position once again to start out a half.
Been a good game for Rick so far with an interception, and now the short kick, and Reggie Slack goes to work. Second half, 20-20. And 10 hands off to Pinball Clements, spinning down to the 50-yard line. Let's check the halftime numbers, which were clearly in Saskatchewan's favor.
And Chris, the one thing you got to like is right here. No turnovers for the Argos. I mean, that is the most telling statistic they've had in the first half. Reggie Slack did not throw an interception, nor did any member of the offensive team fumble the football.
Second down with 7.5 for the Argonauts. And Slack over the middle, incomplete. Andre Brown, the intended receiver.
Great coverage by Vincent Donaldson, though, able to get that left hand in just at the last moment when that ball arrived. But Brown had ran a great route. You see him here working inside on Donaldson. Donaldson, two big players right here, getting that left hand in there, just poking that ball away. Great concentration by Donaldson on the play.
So the Argos not able to convert the short kick into points, but they do have an opportunity to drive Saskatchewan back and pin them in their own zone.
And once again, he left last week's game against Calgary with a concussion. It shows how important it is to these players to be out there and put their best product on the field week in, week out. He's out here having a big game for the Roughriders this afternoon.
Great kick by Lamley. Coverage good by Van Bellingham. And they've got him wrapped up. Benson there as well. A 44-yard punt by Lamley. No return. And they have pinned Saskatchewan deep to start this second half.
The 6-yard line, that has been a big difference for the Argos this afternoon. When you look at what they've done specialty team-wise this afternoon, Chris, a great kick by Lamley. He hasn't had a good kick. But when you look at him here, we get a great shot from the overhead camera. He's going to angle it to his left here. He pins Wallace in the corner to limit the amount of field he has to run the ball in. And you'll see the coverage team come down with great angles and make the stop at the 6-yard line.
Austin, a couple of yards deep in the end zone, throws that one in the flat. Dangerous pass, falls incomplete. And a couple Argos were as close to that football as Ray Elgard. And as Ken Austin spread it around, although Narcisse was a favorite target.
He was a favorite target. They show 6 here, but he had 7 receivers. Dan Farthing, we don't show him up here. All of his receiving core caught passes. That's what's so good about Ken Austin, that you can't lock in on a favorite receiver and double coverage an individual because he passes the ball to everyone.
2nd and 10, deep in Saskatchewan territory. Austin again from the end zone, and there's Donald Narcisse again. 9 catches for Narcisse already this afternoon.
Known as Narco by his teammates. How do you stop him? He lines up at the wide receiver position out right. He works in. What he does, he comes back to his quarterback so well. Ken Austin knows where Narcisse is going to set down, and that's what he spoke about yesterday, Chris, in the press conference, that he knows his receivers. They've been together since 87, 88, most of these guys, so they know where everyone is going to be on the field, the most senior receiving corps in the CFL.
So a big first down for Saskatchewan. Gives them a little breathing room. And Austin over the middle, and there he is again. 10th catch for Narcisse. The Argos say incomplete. And let's see, did he trap the ball or not?
Well, he's going to get the completion on this play. But you can't fault Ken Austin. If they're not going to cover him, keep going to him. And Narcisse goes down, and he gets under that football. Great job. He drops it once he's on the ground. We'll get another shot of it here by ISO director Mo Waters. He makes the reception as he goes to the ground. He drops it as he's coming up. But the official was right there to say, hey, he made it initially, and it keeps the drive alive.
First down, they screen it to Boyko. Up to the 40, and Bruce Boyko has another first down to the 45-yard line. Halloween here in Toronto, and a good football game at Skydome, just nicely underway in the third quarter.
And Ken Austin is seen to be catching his stride right here because they have not put any pressure on him, and he's having a field day finding his receivers.
Darrell Wallace now looking for a hole, and now up to the 50-yard line, has 5 more.
Don Moan did a tremendous job of stepping up, filling that hole right there. Don Moan, the veteran linebacker, the Iron Man of this Argo team, flowing to the sideline with Wallace as he was trying to get outside and stepping up, stopping him for a 5-yard gain on that play.
Austin marched the Roughriders up and down the field.
12 years in the CFL, Don Moan has roamed many of CFL fields, and you know, this one here at the Argos this year, he's been a steadying force on that defense.
Second down and 5, and there is Donald Narcisse again, the 11th catch of the game. Brian Wiggins has the season high. The Calgary rookie receiver had 16 catches on October 23rd against Saskatchewan for 230, and Narcisse threatening to break that here.
Coming right into your home right here, Don Narcisse. I mean, no one is covering. Chris, you're about that size. If we can get a uniform for you, we can take you down there and maybe you can cover him. But if you look at Elgard trying to get loose inside, Kent Benson has that hand on him. Got away with a holding penalty, but when you put so much concentration on one receiver, you see Narcisse being the benefactor of it, having a field day.
Saskatchewan marching. Throwing the flat, and look out, Wallace belted.
Talking about serving him up.
Reggie Pleasant with a less than pleasant greeting for Darrell Wallace.
And that's what you dream about when you're a defensive player. You hope that quarterback lays one out like that, that receiver doesn't get a chance to look at you. Reggie Pleasant comes up, he lines Wallace's up, and if he had a sinus problem, I'll tell you, they're clear right now.
Yeah, Wallace ran into defense there.
And that's a great hit by Reggie Pleasant. I mean, he's been a stalwart in this Argo secondary for many years, and that's one of the reasons why.
2nd and 10. Austin flushed out. Now over the middle, Elgard is open, and he'll be close to another first down. Ray Elgard had to drag a couple of defenders, Moan and Brian Warren, but it should be enough to move the yardsticks, and it is.
And that's what Ray Elgard brings. Once he catches the football is his ability to make yardage afterwards. You see him here wide open, waving to Ken Austin, I'm open. You got that big target, and they're trying to cover him with these linebackers. It's been a problem all day for the Argos. Don Moan may not have the foot speed any longer to run with him, and Elgard picks up a first down to keep the drive alive.
5 catches for Ray, 5 first downs in the drive for Saskatchewan. And Austin with a lot of time. Look who's got the ball at the 15, Narcisse.
I'm going to let you call his name from now on. I've gotten a little tired of it.
Geez, he is having an afternoon.
Don Narcisse, you just can't say enough about him. The Texas Southern grad, having a career day here at Sky Dome. Once again, working inside. He sets down in that soft spot in the zone, breaks back to the outside, and picks up the extra yardage. That's what the Rough Rider receivers do so well after they make the reception, is that they turn and find that open spot in the secondary and pick up the extra yardage.
He is having some kind of afternoon.
He has 25 more yards than the entire Argo team this afternoon.
Here's Elgard down to the 5-yard line, and that will be another first down. Enos Jackson, who has been matched up against Elgard throughout his career, making a touchdown-saving tackle.
Well, Elgard on that quick slant, circling inside. Enos Jackson down on the turf after the tackle. A little slow getting up, but Harles himself having an excellent afternoon.
Riders have driven the football 99 yards. They're 5 away from pay dirt. Chance to break the tie. Give to Wallace. And he's stopped up. Nice play by the middle linebacker, Don Moan. Limits the gain to 1. You talked about Moan's experience. No player in the 120-year history of the Toronto Argonauts has played more games than number 36.
Well, this is one of the reasons why right here. You see him reading very well, coming in from his middle linebacker position, filling right through the hole like he's supposed to, making the stop on Wallace for a minimal gain on the play. Big play once again by Don Moan. He is not having a problem this year playing the run. It's just the only problem is covering those receivers in the flats.
2nd and goal. Pressure on. Austin over the middle, and a big defensive play by Ken Benson. Knocks it down.
Well, the big play on the back end was made by Benson, knocking the pass away, but the pressure initially came from Donnie Moan. He came from his middle linebacker position where he circled around and got the pressure on Austin. You'll see right here as Elgard is trying to work loose, Benson getting that left hand up just as the last moment, but you'll see Donnie Moan right here with the pressure on Austin along with Costello, and Benson making the saving tap.
Shades of the first quarter, the Rough Riders driving it right down the field, but when they get down to the 5, they're stopped up. We have an injured Argonaut, Don Moan, who was instrumental on those last 2 plays, and he's getting attention.
The veteran looked like he needs a little breather right there, getting a little winded, but he's been playing his heart out here at the start of the second half, the entire first half.
6:42 to go, 3rd quarter, a timeout on the field.
Sold separately.
Don Moan, an injured right knee, but he'll be back as he confers with the defensive people upstairs. 3rd down, Dave Ridgway in the game. Ken Austin now 32 of 40, 394 yards, a couple of touchdowns and the interception. And here's Ridgway to kick Saskatchewan back into the lead.
You know, you look at that 99-yard drive, Chris, even though the Riders did not get in the end zone, the Argos spent an awful lot of time defensively on the field.
Ridgway has another field goal, and Saskatchewan, with that impressive drive, is back on top by 3.
Joshua.
Let's recap the scoring so far in the game. Argos on the first play from scrimmage, a 46-yard pass from Slack to Hazard. And then after 2 field goals, Ken Austin hooked up with Ray Elgard, and Saskatchewan was ahead 13-7. But the Argos regained the lead on the 35-yard touchdown pass to Andre Brown. Saskatchewan back on top with the drive in the last couple of minutes and the Donald Narcisse touchdown. The Argos ended the half with a field goal, and Saskatchewan's opened the second half with a 7-minute-plus drive and a 3-point field goal for Dave Ridgway, and Saskatchewan back on top by 3. Pinball Clements on his way back, and he finds some room up across the 45. Dave Pitcher finally wraps him up. 34-yard return for Clements. And it's been an entertaining afternoon here at Skydome.
Tremendous blocking by the Argos on this return for Clemens, but he does a masterful job in weaving his way up, letting his blocking form before being driven out of bounds by Pitcher at the 45. Once again, the specialty teams for the Argos getting the job done, giving them great field position to start a drive.
Well, the Argos certainly cannot match Saskatchewan stat for stat in this game, but they've been able to stay close. Let's see if they can get back to even terms or regain the lead. Slack going deep, but Paul Masati had been bumped out of bounds by Albert Brown. And Zatilny's been shaken up. And Reggie Slack is slow to get up as well.
Well, Bobby Jurison made sure that Reggie Slack knew that he was on the field, because even after he threw that ball, he did a little extra in driving him into the turf. He drove him about 5 yards, getting him down. We see Zatilny down there on the turf. He was hit on that kickoff return, laying a block for Clemens, and he is reeling from it. He's in quite a bit of discomfort on the sideline.
5:45 to go, third quarter at Skydome. 2nd and 10 Argonauts, and they give it to Clemens. Gary Lewis chasing him down, and that front four showing its pursuit. And the veteran Lewis comes up with a tackle for a loss.
Speedy as he's known by his teammates. That time Gary Lewis doing a little a la Gerald Bayless that time for his 6th tackle for a loss behind the line of scrimmage this season. And Gary Lewis did a great job of getting inside that block as they were pulling the offensive lineman. The tackle was not able to come down on him, and hitting Clemens in the backfield for that 6-yard loss.
Lewis 11 years in the league, Bayless 7, Stu Hill 10 years, and Bobby Jurison 8 years, all with Saskatchewan. And it forces Toronto into a punting situation. So Saskatchewan, after that great offensive drive, are going to get the ball right back. What a good high kick by Lamley, and Wallace is nowhere to run. Terrific hang time by Wayne Lamley, and a 49-yard punt.
Attention. What do you think most likely contributes to car crashes?
Speed?
Alcohol? Weather?
Time's up. So how'd you like the ride? You know, it doesn't matter whether I'm driving my Indy car or my street car. I always try to drive with smoothness and finesse.
Test your road sense. ICBC invites you to watch the BC Road Test, Saturday evening, November 6th at 10 on CBC Television.
Welcome back to the Skydome in Toronto. Argo quarterback Mike Kerrigan has been spending most of his time this earlier at the half signing autographs here at the Skydome. He suffered a broken collarbone back in mid-August, but has not been able to return. The injury apparently not healing as hoped. Doctors are now considering a bone graft from Kerrigan's hip to help the bone mend. It was broken in 2 places, and they say it will break very easily if it's not repaired properly.
Mike was the quarterback against Saskatchewan back on July 31st. Here's B.K. Williams wide open down the sidelines and into Argo territory. He was so wide open he almost dropped the football. But they're cheering in Humboldt after that catch.
Well, Ricks that time got lulled to sleep by B.K. Williams, who had almost been a forgotten man. B.K. runs a streak up the sideline. He's 5-6 yards behind Ricks before he can turn around, and if not for Enos Jackson, this would have gone for 6.
And a nice way for BK to celebrate his 33rd birthday. Everybody's celebrating a birthday today. John Candy apparently celebrating a birthday this afternoon.
Well, this is the best medicine for Don Matthews, who just had that emergency surgery a couple of weeks ago, to see his team perform the way it has the past 2 weeks.
Austin was under pressure, and this is picked off. Andrew Thomas, the safety, comes down with the football after Austin was really under siege delivering it.
Well, I tell you, that's the first true pressure that they've had on Kent Austin all afternoon in his first bad football that he's thrown. He underthrew that football. You'll see Narcisse working on that fly route, trying to hit to the post. And you can see the ball is underthrown. And Thomas makes a great break on the ball coming over from his free safety as it's supposed to be played. And Farthing bringing him down after the interception. But the pressure on Austin, when you look at it, Benson coming up the middle, he's right there in Austin's face. And when you can get that pressure up there from your defense, you can make plays like this happen.
Trying to go to Narcisse once again, but this time the Argos were there. Second interception of the game. Ricks and Thomas have them for the Argonauts. Reggie Slack rolling out. He's under pressure, gets it in the flat, complete to Hazard, flag down. In the vicinity of where Hazard made the cut.
Well, we're going to get an interference called here on one of these players, Hazard or Anthony, but they were tussling out there in the flat. You see Hazard on that wheel route. Well, actually what you're going to get is a pick against the Argos, and Hazard makes a great reception there. And it's going to be brought back.
Holding Saskatchewan number 4. That penalty is declined. And it's first up.
Let me be the first to say I was wrong.
So the Hazard catch stands as he closes in on 1,000 yards. He now has 992. So Manny Hazard within 8 of 1,000.
I feel like a producer now. I made a mistake.
Slack goes down. He may have made another one. Gerald Bayless with the sack.
Gerald once again, 10th sack of the season. This guy is just relentless. You'll see Slack dropping back in the pocket, cannot find an open receiver, but Gerald Bayless just wasn't going to give him that time. Went past him, came back, made the cleanup along with his mates. Bayless having an all-star afternoon.
James, you teach me about football, and I'll tell you in TV, rule number 1, the producer never makes a mistake.
Oh, okay. We call that
Second and 18, Slack in the flat to Pinball. He's past Maurice Crum and into open field. Pinball Clements now cuts it back into Saskatchewan territory. Maybe one cut too many, but the Argo fans won't argue. 31 yards for number 31.
I guess the best way to describe that play is Mr. Magic at his best. You'll see Clements circling out of the backfield to his left. Slack's getting the ball. The important thing, he's able to turn upfield. He has the ball in time. Weaving back across the field, picking up his blockers. He reads so well in the open field. Glenn Suter comes in at the end to make the tackle, but big play once again for the Argos.
2.5 minutes to go, third quarter. Argos trailing by a field goal. Slack, great protection. Gets it away. There's Hazard. First down. 1,000-yard season for Manny Hazard. And he's into the 32-yard line. Hazard has 100 yards in the game and more.
The Argos are playing inspired football here this afternoon at Sky Dome. Many people have counted them out as the season has gone on. This afternoon, they're trying to find a way to win this football. You see, game, he's working on Brown. Brown comes up with a shot in the face. Hazard's helmet's a little loose right there. He works back inside, picks up a great block from Mazzotti, comes back across field, adjusts the face mask, gets in for the first down before and dragged down by Bernard.
First Argo in 2 years to hit 1,000 yards passing or receiving. Manny Hazard, and now Slack rolling out. He'll get rid of it. Mazzotti can't make the catch, and it falls incomplete. Charles Anthony thought he had the pick, and the Argos are fortunate it wasn't picked off. I thought Slack was running there.
It looked like he had an opportunity to pick up some yardage on that play, but with that bad leg, you don't want Slack running it. With that forward momentum he had, he got too much zip on that ball, and Mazzotti had it go off his fingertips. Brown had it go off of his, and you see Anthony here at the last second try to dive in, but the ball got to the ground before he could pull it in. Slack on the rollout. You see that ball once again. Brown tips it. Anthony with the great effort. It bounced off up into his chest. The ref right on top with a great call.
Terrell Ulmer in as an extra deep back, spelling Maurice Crum on 2nd and 10. Slack out of the shotgun. There's Clements in the flat. And he beats another man, but that time the second man, Benson Donaldson, with the sure tackle at the 30. And it'll be a field goal situation for the Argonauts.
You know, we've played less than 3/4 of football here this afternoon in Skydome, but at this point you have to take your hat off to the Argonauts for the game that they've played this afternoon. Bob Ovilovich scripted a great game plan for his players, and they've been able to come in and execute that offensively, defensively, but foremost, the specialty teams have played a dominant part today for the Argonauts. They have kept them in great field position all afternoon.
Lance Chomik now looking to go 3 for 3 and try and tie it at 23. This attempt from 38 yards out, and it's been blocked. Loose ball. Carlton Lance after it. Murray knocked him off the ball and lands on it, flagged down.
You got to get an illegal push on Murray, but what he was doing was saving a touchdown because Lance had an opportunity to go if he could have picked that one up on the bounce.
That is the 5th field goal block of the year for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And just as the specialty teams had been a great part of their offense all afternoon and defense, that situation had cost them. They opened up a seam, and they gave up the block.
Charles Anthony with the block. He thought he had the interception a moment ago, but he comes up with an even bigger play.
Illegal interference on a loose ball. Number 86 on Toronto. Saskatchewan ball, first down.
It's against Andrew Murray. Let's see.
Right here, you get Anthony. He's going to come around on the block there, and that's where the leakage is in the Argos offensive line. You see him coming through clean, and right at the end, you'll see Andrew Murray push him in the back as he goes to pick up the football. Great play by Murray because he saves a touchdown on that situation.
At the 49 of Toronto, so Saskatchewan dodges a bullet, and now will try to add to their lead. Darrell Wallace. And he is hit hard by the safety, Andrew Thomas, but is close to a first down.
Thomas has played an active free safety all afternoon. He's come up with the big hits. He came up with the interception on the last drive to stop the Riders when they look like they might be moving in the scoring position. You'll see him here step up on Wallace as he tries to spin and plant that shoulder right in his back. Good square up on an open field tackle.
Just his second start, playing ahead of Dave Van Bellingham today. Final play, third quarter, barring a penalty. Play action, and Austin looking deep, and Donald Narcisse was held up, and they'll draw the flags. Not much doubt there. Narcisse was breaking away from Mark Ricks, and Ricks had to grab some cloth or at least impede Narcisse's progress.
Well, I don't think that Ricks is going to... Yeah, let's bring it, Mo. After the day, I don't think Ricks is going to want to see Narcisse. I mean...
Deliberate forward pass interference. Number 9 on the defense. First down.
Narcisse just doing a wonderful job just finding that seam and running past Ricks. He's loaded him asleep all afternoon with those out patterns. Ricks trying to jam him at the line of scrimmage. Narcisse just keeps running. Ricks right there knew that he was in a hapless situation. Get the penalty, save the touchdown. Really not a bad play on his behalf to take the penalty.
First down, Austin looking for Farthing. He's drilled by Reggie Pleasant right at the first down marker, and that is the final play of the third quarter. Saskatchewan with a 3-point lead, and they're threatening again when we return for the fourth quarter.
CBC Sports presents the CFL on CBC. Brought to you by BC Tel.
Glad you could join us on Halloween. The youngsters, I'm sure, getting ready right across the country for a big night.
Gonna be a lot of pumpkin pie come next week. There's a lot of extra pumpkins laying around. A lot of things to do with those. Bring the whipped cream, Chris.
Well, you know what? There was some concern this might be just a masquerade for a football game, but it's turned out to be a beauty here this afternoon. The Argonauts.
One of the better games of the entire CFL season. I mean, it's been competitive the first 3 quarters of this contest. I mean, no one expected this Argo team to show up this afternoon, and it's been a great joy to see them play this well all afternoon.
The Roughriders trying to blow it open, though, in the fourth. They give it to Darrell Wallace, and Wallace has room right side. Touchdown. There are flags down.
We're going to get Mike Campbell, the nose guard, jumped off sides on the play.
Offside, 99 on the defense. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
Touchdown Wallace, and it's a 9-point Saskatchewan lead, their biggest of the game.
We come with the scatter formation right here in the backfield. Wallace is the lone back in the backfield. You get Hendrickson pulling around in front of him, warding off the defense. Wallace finding that seam, breaking it back out into the corner of the end zone, waltzing in for the touchdown, delivering that football to a happy fan up in the stands.
Ridgway's extra point makes it 30-20. Saskatchewan with 30 seconds gone in the fourth quarter.
Now it's going to be a true test for the Argos. Will they be able to respond to that touchdown drive by Saskatchewan? When you look here, look at the offensive line of Saskatchewan. You see Hendrickson pulling out from his guard position, sealing off Warren inside, and he knocks off Benson. He's getting a push on Thomas, the safety. Just a great job by Hendrickson, and Wallace enjoying that waltz into the end zone untouched.
And again, Wallace, although he has been a real spark plug this afternoon, not expected to be in the lineup for the playoffs. Mike Saunders is ready to return. Could have played today, but they're saving him, giving him 2 more weeks with to give the ankle a chance to heal a little bit better. Of course, Saskatchewan gets the off week next week, so they get a nice preparation time for the playoffs. And Saunders has been called the best tailback in the CFL by his teammates. Wally Zatilny back in the game. He was shaken up on the last kickoff, and Zatilny cross field up to the 35-yard line.
Well, Chris, it's hard to sell tickets when you've won only 3 football games in a season, but the Argos are trying with a new plan, offering 1992 season ticket holders free tickets to try to get them reacquainted, I would think, and it's the plan of President Ron Barbaro. Ron, I understand you actually wrote letters to each of those fans.
I wrote letters to 2,000 fans who did not renew during 1993, and some have come to a few games and said, look, we love you, we miss you, come on back, take a look at us on the 31st, and quite a few hundred have responded, and they're here scattered throughout the audience today.
Ron, if you'll wait just a sec, we'll let this play take place, and then we'll come back with another question. Chris?
First down at the 35 on the quick hitter to Andre Brown, and he broke 1 tackle, and Brown up to the 53. Ron Barbaro will like that.
Ron, you're well known as being a master motivator, and I understand you made an appearance in the Argo locker room in the pregame. Can you tell us what you said to the players?
Well, I primarily shared with the team our motivation from administration side. Said our job is to put fans in the seats. Their job is to get them out of them at least twice a quarter cheering, and I've done that for us today. So this has been a wonderful game.
Looks like you've had an effect. The Argos are having one of their best games. Chris?
Reggie Slack has to scramble out of trouble, and he'll try and take off with the ball, but Gerald Bayless in pursuit again, and number 98 doesn't look like a speedster, but boy, he is quick.
Well, Gerald Bayless, I mean, you constantly call his name throughout a football contest. This is why he was named his team's most valuable player. You see him with his constant work ethic right here against Green, chasing Slack. Now, you figure a guy who weighs 275 pounds would not be able to catch a quarterback running to the sideline. Gerald Bayless does it with authority once he gets there.
No gain, maybe a loss of a foot or so, which would be another tackle for a loss to Bayless's impressive total. 2nd and 10.
Be number 19.
Slack delivers, and it's incomplete. Manny Hazard couldn't hang on, took a hit from Carlton Lance, and it'll be 3rd down, and Slack was belted too.
You got to make that play when you Hazard. You look at Slack rolling out. Stuart Hill, make that Lance coming in with a tremendous shoulder hit right in the chest, and Slack felt all of that.
So it's 3rd down and a punting situation for the Argos. They are near midfield, and you wonder if Bob Obilovich has another trick up his sleeve. No, Lamley will punt away.
Beautiful punt.
And Lamley has really come on. Wallace dropped the ball and got back on it in time. Close call there. Saskatchewan will start from their own 50.
Now at Tim Hortons, you can enjoy one of our many savory soups with a tea biscuit, coffee, and a donut for just $2.99. Or you can enjoy a fresh Tim Hortons sandwich with a coffee and a donut from just $3.69 to $4.49. You know, that's quite the soup deal for only $2.99. And a Tim Hortons sandwich deal from only $3.69? Wow! Tim Hortons mealtime deals. It's so nice to have a choice.
Reggie Clark has been a force on specialty teams all afternoon, but he has been shaken up on this last play, diving for that loose ball.
Well, in a three-way collision right there, you'll see his teammates coming in on him. Looked like he might have twisted his leg right there.
While they attend to Clark, we'll take another timeout here at Skydome. For him, the scene here, 12:39 to go, fourth quarter in Saskatchewan, now with a 10-point lead, biggest margin of the game, and the Roughriders with the football deep in their own zone.
Well, the pressure right now is on the Argos defensive unit, as it's been most of the year. They have to come up with a way to stop this Ken Austin aerial attack, because he spreads the ball around to all 6 of his receivers that are in the game. And so you cannot isolate on one. Even though Donald Narcisse has had this spectacular afternoon, you got to watch out for an Elgard, a Farthing, a Boyko, a Wallace, a B.K. Williams. Any one of these players can come up with the big play on any given play.
Saskatchewan Roughriders, should they hold on, will have 11 wins this year. First time they've reached that total since 1988. Austin in the flat. There's Donald Narcisse. Catch number 13 for Narcisse today, and the 36th completion of the game for Kent Austin.
Well, Narcisse, they just have not figured out how to cover him all afternoon. You see him working inside underneath Enos Jackson there, able to pick up 6 yards on that pass play, and that's what Austin has done so well, those intermediate routes all afternoon, and the defensive backs have just not been able to close quick enough.
Kent with 465 passing yards. In the flat, Elgard, and he tries to bull his way for a first down. He stopped at the 26, and it will be a first.
Once again, another 6-yard pass, Chris, and that's what he does so well. You'll see Elgard and Wallace both setting out in the flat. Austin knows where his receivers are at all time. Wallace picks up a block on Ricks before Costello can come over and drive Elgard to the ground after the first down, though.
You know, Kent went through a spell where he had the separated shoulder, and he also had a dislocated finger, then stretched knee ligaments, but he's healthy now, and for the second week in a row, he's putting big numbers on the board. First down, Saskatchewan. Here's a loose ball that Brian Warren almost picked off. And Austin was fortunate it wasn't interception number 3.
Well, what the Riders were trying to do, they were trying to set up a screen play, and Brian Warren, a veteran, was able to sniff it out. You see Wallace right here trying to circle out into the flat here, but Warren comes in just as the offensive line lets him get in. You'll see Wallace sneaking up right there. Boom, he jumps up, knocks it down, but a great play by Vida, able to push Warren away from intercepting that one.
Big play for the Argo defense, 2nd and 10. Austin in trouble, gets it away, and look who's got it. Donald Narcisse has his 14th catch, the CFL record, 16, co-held by Brian Wiggins and former Argonaut Terry Greer.
Well, Narcisse, once again, it's been simplicity in motion this afternoon when you look at his game. He's gone down, he's ran that circle route all afternoon, right in that soft spot in the zone. Mike Campbell getting the pressure on Austin, taking him down ungingerly to the turf, and Austin not in appreciation of that.
Here's the draw play to Darrell Wallace, and Rodney Harding has him wrapped up.
Longtime veteran Argo defensive lineman Rodney Harding has been playing that position for 8 years for the Argos, and he said the other day this has been a very frustrating season for him, a very long one, and he didn't want his career to end on a note like this, and he was going to do everything he could today to get his teammates jacked up to have an excellent afternoon.
Limited the gain of Wallace to 3, 2nd and 7. And the Argo defense has to force Saskatchewan into a punt. Austin in the flat, and I think the pass was caught, but Pleasant in coverage there, and it's going to be well short of the first down. The Argo fans don't like the spot, and Narcisse has catch number 15 now, but this one for short yardage.
Very short yardage by Narcisse, but you know, the guy's just been working hard all afternoon. Look at that.
Oh, well, I think they gave him number 15. They just showed it on the board here, and Donald's laughing. He got away with one.
I guess it's almost like a baseball pitcher. You've been hitting that soft spot so often around the plate that when it's in that vicinity, you're going to get the call. And that time, Narcisse got the call. Well, the first official tried to wave it off, and they just stayed with it.
If anybody deserves the benefit of the doubt, it's Narcisse this afternoon.
Minimal gain, though, on the play.
Mike Clements. Across the 40 to the 43, 9:06 left. And the Argos down by 10.
He's cute, right? Gorgeous.
See Chevy dealers now.
The Argos' Reggie Clark was knocked out of this game, at least temporarily, not by a hit, but by abdominal cramps. The team doctors are still looking him over. They say it's unusual to have cramps in the lower abdomen. Normally in a football game, they see it in calves and hamstrings, but not the abdomen. So for the time being, Reggie Clark will remain under observation. Chris?
All right, Mark, right now, Reggie and the rest of the Argos defense anxiously looking on. Can Reggie Slack get this offense moving again? First down, Slack with time, going deep. Manny Hazard, and coming across. Great interception by Charles Anthony. First pick of the game for the Riders secondary, and an acrobatic play by Anthony with Hazard in behind him.
Great play by Charles Anthony. You see Manny Hazard streaking to the post. Charles Anthony inside, he's beaten on the play, but he's able to recover, come inside, go over the shoulder, over the top. That's what being 6'3", 6'4" will do for you. Right there, he just lays out perfectly and brings that interception in. Great play and concentration by Charles Anthony, the veteran out of Nevada, Las Vegas.
That puts the ball back in the hands of Kent Austin, and the record watch is on here. We've got Carl Creighton and George Cootie, Art Darch, going through record books because Kent Austin is 2 completions away from tying a CFL single game mark of 41.
If I was like Don Whitman and a betting man, I'd take you up on that.
And Narcisse, of course, 1 away from a record as well, and they're going deep to Dan Farthing, and nice play there by Andrew Thomas, knocking it down. 39 completions for Austin. Dieter Brock in 81 had 41 against the Ottawa Roughriders. Charles Anthony came up with the football and a little nick on that last play.
Probably banged his knee on that turf when he came down. Most of those defensive backs don't wear pads in those knee pads, and you'll bang him on this hard turf. But a great play by Thomas, knocking that ball away from Farthing. You see Anthony once again getting a little ice, the wonder drug of football, administered to that knee.
2nd and 10. Austin, lots of time. There's B.K. Williams, and he's hit hard by Thomas. A punishing tackle by the safety, and it'll be 3rd down.
Once again, talking about serving them up, and Andrew Thomas has been a punisher all afternoon at that free safety position. This is how the position is designed to be played. You get a receiver coming across the middle, as you see B.K. Williams, he has to leave his feet. You let him know that he's coming into your house. Mike Anderson here once again doing a masterful job at center. The old veteran right there, not allowing any penetration by Mike Campbell at center. But Andrew Thomas, hey, he's feeling good right now. He's roaming that field like it's his territory, and he's not letting anyone in.
Argos should get the ball in pretty good field position. 7:43 left. And Matic just got it away. Brian Warren was moving in. Not a great punt again, and it's bouncing around. Pinball has it. Flags go down, and Clements down at the 42-yard line. Just a 26-yard punt, and the Argos have great field position.
There are some things parents will never hear.
Well, as they say, it's lonely at the top. Barry Wilburn, who we featured at the half, is having an outstanding game, but you'd hardly know it. The Argos have only thrown one pass in his direction, that in the first half. I asked Reggie Slack why. He said it's not that we're just avoiding him, but he's so aggressive and he's been jamming Robert Gordon so much, Gordon can't run his pass routes. Instead, the Argos have chosen to go after Charles Anthony, but that was fruitless too, as Anthony made that outstanding athletic pickoff on Slack in the last series. So let's keep an eye on this football game and see if Slack comes back and tries to hit over Barry Wilburn.
Well, when you look at Barry Wilburn, he conjures up memories of a former defensive back in the CFL, Ray Odoms, who played many years roaming the turf out in Calgary, the Blade as he was known by the rest of the league.
There is Gordon, and he got away from Wilburn that time and has a first down. So finally, maybe Mark Lee put that play in Slack's head. Hey, there's Terrell Ulmer is into the game now in place of Charles Anthony, but for the first time today, some success against Big Barry Wilburn.
Yeah, Mark Lee lit a spark under Reggie Slack right there. Said, go out and challenge the guy. You haven't thrown at him all day. And Gordon made a great move to get away from Wilburn after the reception, but he worked back to the quarterback, and that's always the key to get that separation again from the defensive back.
No corner in the CIAU ever intimidated Carlton Raven quarterback Mark Lee. Here's pinball right into the official. And Gary Lewis has him wrapped up. And the fans will let the official know about that one. Saw that last night with Tom Burgess running into one of the officials. And that time it was umpire Bob Redekop who was...
Ooh, way to call him out, Chris.
I didn't want you to get into any more trouble.
Would that go down as official tackle? You look at Clemens, seems like he has a hole here, but the official, I guess, not even trying to get out of the way. We saw a similar situation, as you mentioned, with Tommy Burgess, where he might have had his first down last night. Looked like Clemens might have been on his way also.
4-yard pickup for Clemens. Short drop, and there's Hazard in the flat. And that gain negligible. Anthony made the tackle, and you can see he's still hobbled.
He's still
and
getting
it's now third down. Do you take the field goal? Yes, Chomik comes on. They're down by 10 with 5:56 left, and Bob Obilovich will take the sure points, although he'd like to have that call over again.
Well, with the way the Argo defense has been playing this afternoon, you have to take the points. The last series that the Riders had the football, they did not move the ball at all. 2 incompletions by Austin, who's had a marvelous afternoon, 2 short of the CFL record, but you got to take your hat off to this Argo team, offensively, defensively, specialty team-wise this afternoon. They came out ready to play a football game.
27-yard attempt for Chomik, who has hit on 3 of 3 so far today, but 1 block. This one over that line and through, and so the Argos within 7. And when you look at the course of this game, that field goal block is the big play of the football game, when Chomik tried to tie it at 23 and Saskatchewan blocked it and went in to score. Once again, let's bring you up to date on why this game is of vital importance to the Argonauts. Tied with Ottawa, but should the 2 teams remain tied after next week, Ottawa will get the playoff spot. So will the Argos be able to win today, or will they be able to win next week in Winnipeg? They'll have to at least record a tie or a win to make the playoffs.
And also for Saskatchewan, if they hope to gain 3rd place in the West, they must win this afternoon also.
Of course, Ottawa does have 1 more game against Hamilton, and if they win next week, it's all academic. An incompletion. Apparently that ball bounced up to Wallace, and it'll be 2nd down. And now things get a little anxious for Don Matthews, because the Argos could get the ball right back again.
Wallace was just not able to pull that one in. It got to his fingertips, and he dropped it, and there's an Argo fan right there enjoying her day here at Sky Dome with a helmet and an Argo towel.
29,348 on hand. 2nd and 10. Austin over the middle to Wallace. Benson has him and stops him up before he got to the 45, and he'll be around a yard short. And Wallace has been hurt.
And a big play once again by that Argo defense. It's really going to force Saskatchewan in this situation to make a decision. Do we go for it or do we kick it away? The way this Argo offense has been moving down the field inside the 30s, they could take a chance here. You got Wallace, who is still down from look like a possible ankle injury right there. You'll get Benson as he wrapped up and fell on his ankle. And Wallace went down very awkwardly right there, and he's still down on the turf.
Art Darch tells us about 1.5 yards shy as Wallace gets attention.
That old eagle eye Art over there? Oh, that's the binoculars, huh?
Jeff Fairholm already out of the game with a shoulder injury.
Ivan Gutfrin, the trainer, has been busy this afternoon for Saskatchewan. This is not what they wanted to see in their final game of the season, a multitude of injuries like they've had. But the one plus that they do have, Chris, is that they do get the bye next week, so they'll have an opportunity to rest to get people healthy going into the playoffs.
4:33 left, and Don Matthews won't gamble. Matic is in. A 7-point game, and it's been a disappointing afternoon for Matic.
And he's been under a lot of pressure. Brian Warren just came within a step of blocking that last one.
You know, it's interesting, James. His worst game punting this year prior to this one was at BC Place. So obviously he doesn't like kicking indoors.
He loves the wind of Taylor Field.
Argo's coming, but Matic gets it away. Bouncing to Pinball. And he'll try to get outside, and Pinball just gets back to the 20. So nice downfield work.
Terrell Almer with great downfield coverage that time, pinning the Pinball Clemens in for a limited gain on the return.
Well, the boss gave his team a pep talk, and they have responded with one of their better efforts of the year, but he's looking for a win this afternoon if he could get it.
Well, right now, Reggie Slack is faced with 90 yards of AstroTurf with 4 minutes to go. If he is going to prove himself a true leader, he has to be able to move his team down the field because they trail by 7 points and they need a touchdown to tie this one up.
Slack has some time, now dumps it off to Clements. Makes a couple of guys miss, and up to the 35. That's when you'd love to have the tearaway jersey because Ray Bernard got a handful of cloth and wouldn't let go.
We got a flag down, another piece of cloth on the field. We're probably going to get a roughing the passer on Stuart Hill after this pass, and you'll see it right there.
Roughing the passer, number 39 on the defense, first out.
Reggie Slack sitting here fighting a seam. Stuart Hill takes a little extra right there going after Slack. And those are the type of plays that you don't expect from the veterans with all that experience, 36 years of experience in that Saskatchewan front. But right there, it cost him an extra 15 yards, and the Argos are marching.
At the 50-yard line. The handoff to Warren Hudson, and he barrels right up the middle for 9 yards. And the Argos are moving here. And we could be in for a big finish at Skydome.
The big offensive guard that wears a running back's number, Warren Hudson, is very noted for his blocking, his intimidating style of play. But given the ball, he picks up 9 yards on first down, Chris. Big play for the Argos. This is that area where Slack has an opportunity to air it out on second down.
See what he calls? His own number for the first down. And after Pinball Clements was the only ball carrier for the Argos all afternoon, they go with Hudson and Slack to get a first.
Random access memory. Really good. Now, once again, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes.
At Compact, we realized
When you look at the stare in those eyes, looks like the stare of a Dave Stewart looking at a batter at home plate during the World Series.
I was thinking it's an offensive lineman looking across that yard and seeing James Curry on the other side.
Or did Scott Oak show up here?
The Argo fans have come out decked out for Halloween, and they've had a great football game to go along with it, and it's far from over. 2:39 to go. The Argos down by 7, but a first down in Saskatchewan territory. Slack flushed out, in trouble, and down he goes. Stu Hill, who got that roughing penalty just a few plays ago, atones with a sack.
A coverage sack, if you want to call it that way, because great job in the Saskatchewan secondary not allowing any of the receivers to come open. You see Bobby Jurison flushing Slack from the right. Stuart Hill staying at home, not allowing him to get outside, and a great job of pulling him down by the legs to get the big play defensively for the Riders.
3 sacks today for Saskatchewan, 2 for Stuart Hill, who now has 9 on the year. 2nd and 17 Argos. Pressure on again, flag down. Slack gets it away and has a completion. Andre Brown at the 40, but this one in all likelihood is coming back.
It's in that area of the field where you're going to give some offensive linemen some notoriety right now. But a great effort by Reggie Slack to avoid the rush, to get outside and deliver that pass to Brown.
Holding number 68 on the offense. 2nd down repeated.
Kerry Eliarenko, the right tackle. And after the sack and a 7-yard loss, they'll tack on that.
You'll get Yari Rinko up here at the right of your screen working on Stuart Hill. He gets that right arm hooked up inside the jersey, spins him back around. Hill was able to break away, but it cost his team 15 yards and a big play. About a 30-yard penalty on the play overall.
And that roughing penalty has Stu Hill fired up. Now Reggie Slack over the middle. Andrew Murray with his first catch of the game, but Ray Bernard right there. And with 1:56 left, it's 3rd down. Bobo Bilovich with the decision. Does he gamble 3rd and a lot of real estate, or does he punt away and try and pin Saskatchewan deep?
You can't gamble in this situation. A very questionable pass, though, by Reggie Slack. You need 30 yards, and he's throwing a 6-yard pass. You got to look up the field, take a chance, and go deep. Now he's going to put it on his defense, Bobo Bilovich. They've been able to hold Saskatchewan in their last 2 possessions. They have to do it once more if they hope to have a chance.
3rd and 18. So Lamley is in, and the Argos have excelled in this part of the game today, but not there. Lamley put it straight up. He got pressure and just a 16-yard punt. So that is not what was in Bobo Bilovich's mind there.
Stu Hill and Gerald Bayless were able to come up the middle on Lamley, put that pressure on him, and he felt the pressure and came up with the big shank. That's what happens when teams are not accustomed to being at this position, at this juncture of a contest, where they don't know how to get over that hump and find ways to win the game. And this has been one of the things that have nagged the Argos all year long.
Boy, Lamley, since the first quarter, has been booming punts all afternoon, but this gives Ken Austin a reprieve.
And a chance to break the record.
Yeah, 2 shy. Goes to the flat, 1 shy, Farthing.
And he has tied the record on that completion.
He has tied the record. That's number 41. So he ties Dieter Brock's record set in.
Dan Farthing with his 3rd reception of the afternoon. Kent Austin throwing that deep out route to Farthing. Farthing set down on the sideline. That is the key that Austin said yesterday. His receivers, he knows where they are on the field, and they are so accustomed to his throwing style that they are very comfortable in finding those spots.
There are the numbers. 1 more to break the record, but here they'll give it to Wallace, and he bounced off 1 man, but Keith Costello in pursuit drops him for a loss close to the line of scrimmage.
That play was disrupted by Rodney Harding. Rodney Harding had great penetration on that play from his left defensive tackle position. The veteran player got up in the offensive backfield. He didn't make the play, but he disrupted everything, and Wallace couldn't get any rhythm and find a hole, and Costello made the tackle for no gain on the play.
2nd and 10, 1 minute left in the clock running. Austin looking deep, and it's incomplete. It hit Reggie Pleasant in the back as he was in coverage against B.K. Williams. So it'll be third down, and Ken Austin, it appears, will have to settle for a share of the record with Dieter Brock.
Very surprising play by Ken Austin. You figured that he would go for something conservative, as he's done most of the afternoon, try to pick up the first down. He looked to go deep and get it all in one play. Great recovery by Reggie Pleasant. Did what a veteran player would do. Not put your hands up, not go after the receiver, just keep running. The ball went off his back. That way avoid being called for face guarding.
44 seconds to play. Clements is deep. And the Argos counting on a big return. Well, Matic answers with a great punt. And pinball from his 5. Tried to change direction, ran into a teammate, and he's behind. He's back behind the 5-yard line. Another loss on the return. Well, they'll 47 yards for Matic. Drinkwalder the stop, and they'll say Clements had no return, no yards. But it's a big task for Reggie Slack now with 32 seconds to play.
You can't say it's an impossible situation. You can ask the Ottawa Roughriders about that. They had the Argos in a similar situation like this where they had them pinned down, but the tide was turned where the Riders had the ball, and Stephan Jones was able to take one up the sideline to win the game for the Ottawa Roughriders.
Slack's got to move it downfield in a hurry, but dumps it off to Andre Brown up near the 20-yard line. Well, he gets some little breathing room, but they got a long way to go and not much time. 26 seconds remaining.
Has about enough time for 3 plays, but he has to be able to strike in a hurry, get the team up, and take the snap as soon as the ball is whistled in.
Clock running. And Reggie, down he goes.
Bobby
Jurison, and Hill helps finish it off, but Jurison gets a sack, and that's number 4 for Saskatchewan today. Jurison with 14, he's 4th in the CFL.
Big play when needed by the Riders defense. Bobby Jurison, the veteran, right in, beating Warren Hudson on an outside swim move, coming in, dropping Slack for the loss to almost kill all hopes that the Argos have of coming back and tying this one up.
17 seconds to go.
You know, and when you get in a crunch time situation like this, those veteran players step up, those guys who've been in winning situations, and Bobby Jurison has been one of those. He spent his entire career in Saskatchewan, their all-time sack leader, and he just added to that total on that play. And he's one of those guys that his motor is running for the entire 60 minutes of the game.
Talked a lot about that great front 4. Bobby was telling me earlier this year it's the best he's played for since 1988 when he was alongside Goldsmith and Klassen and Curry.
Whoa, thank you, sir. that check will be in the mail.
Second down, and Slack has to get downfield quickly. Bobby Gordon has the catch, but he'll not get out of bounds. 10 seconds to go, and now Slack's really going to have to air it out.
Well, what he should do is come up here, take the ball, and just ground it, regroup, call a play.
It's third down.
Oh, he can't even do that.
Time for one big one.
Needs to pick up the first down here.
Gets outside of Bayless. Well, he'll take the first down, get out of bounds. No time left, and it's over. Reggie thought he could get out of bounds before the clock ran out, but no more time, and a courageous Argo effort falls short this afternoon as they lose 30-23 to Saskatchewan. Let's go downstairs and join Mark Lee.
Well, Chris, we're joined on the sidelines with the player of the game, Don Narcisse. Don, you had 15 catches in this game to break the old record of 14, which was shared by Brian Wiggins and Terry Greer, and that's got to be awfully gratifying to you.
It was great, but like I always said, we have a team effort. You got to go out there and make plays, and one thing we did, we made plays. And, you know, my job is to win as man-to-man, beat my man, and that's what I did.
You used to be the deep threat on this team. Now you're the go-to man, it seems, whenever the slots are covered.
Well, that's what you got to do. Being a team player, you got to go out there and do your role. And my role is to get open and open things up for Elgar, and that's what I can do.
You guys have been together for what? I think 5 years now. You must have incredible chemistry.
Well, it's going on 7 years, really, and everything is there. You know, Ken is on time with everybody, and you know the records that I accomplished, I gotta give it to my offense. They did it for me.
Well, that's awfully modest of you, Don. The thing that's really important about this win is that you guys have finished the season. You get a bye in the final week, and it's awfully good, I would think, to be peaking the way you are for the playoffs.
Right. It's not always where you start, it's how you finish. And we are peaking at the right time, and we sit back and just wait and see who we have to play and go out and prepare for it.
Congratulations on a fine game.
Thank you very much.
Don Narcisse of the Saskatchewan Roughriders with 15 catches today, leading his Roughriders to a 30-23 victory over the Toronto Argonauts as Saskatchewan finishes the regular season 11-7. We'll be back.
When their business expanded, First Line Systems didn't buy more clones. They went with IBM.
It's nice to see that sense of commitment is back in fashion.
Well, with our volume, this could save.
With call-in confirmation. For your free trial, call 1-800-361-3113.
He's cute, right? Gorgeous.
CBC Sports presents the CFL on CBC. Brought to you by BC Tel.
Welcome back to the Sky Dome in Toronto, where the Saskatchewan Roughriders have defeated the Argonauts by a score of 30-23. If Saskatchewan now has put a very interesting situation in the Western standings, second place is still up for grabs, but the Roughriders making a good case for third place. In the East, third is still yet to be determined. It will go down to the final week of the season. Ottawa and Toronto still with 3-14 records. The final score here today, Saskatchewan beating Toronto 30-23. A blocked field goal in the third quarter, a key play for Saskatchewan, leading to a Darrell Wallace touchdown and victory. Our next games of the CFL on CBC, there are 3 of them. Our final week of the regular season on the CFL and CBC. Check your local listings. After late local news, the World Triathlon on CBC from Manchester, England. Michaela Jones of Australia defending her championship in that one. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders make a big case for third place in the West, and they are peaking for the playoffs. They have the week bye in the final week of the regular season. They finish with 11 wins and 7 losses. A happy Halloween for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and a big day for Donald Narcisse. 15 catches, a CFL record, breaking the old mark of 14, leading his Roughriders to victory here today at Skydome. Have a happy Halloween and a safe one. For all of our crew here in Toronto, so long, and thanks for watching.
CBC Sports, home of the champions.
This is CBC, Public Broadcasting.
This is CBC, British Columbia.
We now join programming in progress.